People of Pengolia, you join my nation to escape the draconian laws of the so-called recognized states and forge a path free of the tethers of fascism. Here on this humble floating island made of shipping containers and empty 2-liter bottles of Mountain Dew, we have succeeded in creating a new nation, founded on the love of York in your peens and beef in your vagines. A land pure in its intentions, transparent in its politics, and really clear about how much we like Chumbawamba. My people, we have run into a bit of a supply line issue. We don't have any allies and nobody will trade with us. I feel like that may have something to do with being a floating garbage island with no actual fixed location, but still we rise. We have developed a new system of finance. A barter system, where we trade dried fish to Carnival cruise ships for fresh water and lubricant. In only 3 short years, we can... What the fuck is that?
People of Venezuela, hear me! We are the Democratic People's Republic of Sylvania! Surrender your garbage island, or prepare to be boarded!
Is that
Patrick? Oh, fuck you! You're not a fucking nation, you're just one guy in a rowboat!
And you are? Those are fucking seals, man, not people! Give me your shit!
Eat dicks! Eat dicks! Get your own garbage island!
Give me the island! Give me the island or I'll burn it! I'll burn your fucking country down!
Well, come and get it, you hating ass bitch!
Jesus, what the fuck is that?
Fucking Riley, what are you doing?
Citizens of Connecticut and Virginia, bow down before the might of the Kingdom of Middle Girth, or prepare to be fucked!
Hey, man! Where the fuck did you get an oil tanker?
None of your fucking business!
Hello, Deletoids, and welcome back to Delete Everything Podcast, our private oasis in what used to be part of Florida, but we've actually claimed sovereignty, and now it is the proud nation of Blongo.
Consider it annexed, bitch.
Yeah, I'm your emperor, Patrick I, and with me, as always, is my prime minister,
Riley Bowen.
It goes without saying that the American public school system has left you all with some forgotten, omitted, and partial education in most matters. But here in the proud nation of Blongo, we are dedicated to, let's call it a state-sponsored re-education. That's never gone wrong, right?
Yeah, I like to call it hammer think, because you better think what I want you to think or else you're getting the hammer.
Just an actual hammer?
Yeah, I'll hit you with a hammer. Say my shit.
Yeah, we're doing state-sponsored re-education here in the nation of Blongo. All of our citizens get re-educated. Before we get started, thank you to everyone who left us reviews, ratings, comments this last week or two, I guess. I know last I looked, poor Dwight, one of our listeners, is still getting Spotify comments, mostly from me, about pooping out of trees.
He's a big tree pooper.
If you haven't joined the party yet, you should probably get in on it. It's fun, man. We have a party in there. Tap the 3 dots on whatever streaming app you're listening to and leave us a review. Leave us a rating. If you're on Spotify, comment on any of the episodes. Also, I never mentioned this. If you're on Spotify and you don't want to be in the comments, talking to us, that's fine. Some people are shy. We get it. We're just normal guys. We're not fucking famous or anything. We're fine to talk to us. But you could still also leave us a rating on Spotify, and that helps us out a whole bunch.
Yeah, super easy. Just click the stars.
Yeah, the 3 dots, and then it goes rate this show.
3
and then
dots, 4 stars.
Yeah,
we got
4 stars, 5.
Yeah. Is it 5?
Yeah,
well,
we want 5.
Don't just do 4 of them. Do 5. We've actually got pretty good reviews all across the board, and a good number of them, so that's cool. Keep that up.
Yeah, please keep going. We also have Instagram at Delete Everything Podcast if you want to see photos corresponding to this episode or any of the other episodes.
Fuck, I didn't put up the Instagram. I'll get to it.
YouTube has got all of our episodes in audio format. I think starting with our episode 50 cryptids,
Yeah.
we've got some visuals in there now.
Yeah, I think we're in beta still. But
We're very much in beta. You got to wait. Like you're looking at our logo for the first 20 minutes of the episode.
Yeah.
And then the images start popping
But
up.
enjoy that, though, because that new logo is fucking hot.
That new logo is cool.
Got a cool tech noir, cyberpunk Blade Runner logo
Mhm. Yeah.
that's defining our future.
It's like if you went in a time machine to the 80s, and then when you were in the 80s, you got stuck in a computer. And that's...
And then when you were in that computer, you hired somebody to make you a logo for a podcast.
We're still working on YouTube stuff, but yeah, we've got, we're working on some video content stuff that'll be going on Instagram and YouTube in the not terribly distant future. You can also send us an email if you want to chat, or if you have a topic you think we should cover on the podcast. You can do that at deleteeverythingpodcast@gmail.com. And lastly, if you need more of our insanity, join us on Patreon. You'll get a 45-ish minute bonus episode every week. And those episodes tend to get a little bonkers bananas, but we have fun.
This last Patreon episode is a lot of fun, actually.
Which one was the last one? I don't even remember.
Dinosaur Land 2.
Oh, yeah.
It's not the second episode we've done on Dinosaur Land. We were talking about a place called Dinosaur Land 2.
Oh, boy. Yeah, it's yowza. Weird stuff. If you've ever wondered how to milk a stegosaurus, that's the place to do it.
Yeah, because of that episode, actually, I watched a few episodes of Dinotopia.
Don't know what that is.
Dinotopia was okay. So first, it was a really cool book series, kind of like not I wouldn't say young adult, but like kids book series. Had a lot of. It was like really well illustrated, mostly like pictures and stuff about a land at the center of the earth where humans and dinosaurs cohabitated. There was a language that like correlated dinosaur footprints into letters, and people flew around on pterodactyls, much like Majake Tarakmakto of Avatar fame. And they had a TV series in the late 90s that was like really early CGI. Pretty good.
This sounds like Land of the Lost.
It is like a late 90s Land of the Lost, essentially.
Okay. Huh.
Pretty fun.
Cool.
Lot of drama attached to it.
I'm sure it was so dramatic.
It was. Dinotopia is pretty cool.
How's your week been, bud? We're dealing with a wild day today. We're not going to divulge anything, but today's been a fucking...
As far as my week, like
abnormally insane day.
Today's been wild. Drew died, so that's been odd dealing with that. But then, I don't know. This past week has been it's been weird. I feel like I've been impacted heavily by this week. There's stuff going on in the government that's kind of dicking with me.
There's
just contemporary world stuff happening. I got to take my daughter to a fucking amazing concert, her first concert.
Oh, yeah,
which is
that's
cool,
right.
and she fucking loved it. And like I was passing down like this punk rock torch that really like
badass.
So there's a lot of like stuff in flux.
Yeah, let's call it a bittersweet week.
I will say there was this.
Drew is not actually dead. Just FYI,
he's dead to me.
He's having a worse day than us today. So
there was this moment, right? So I went to go see the Aquabats show in St. Augustine, Florida, with my daughter. She's been listening to the Aquabats with me since she was little. It's a ska punk band, if anyone doesn't know. Great show, always fun. They dress up like superheroes. They throw like floaties out into the
fun guys.
So it was a fucking blast and a half. But like she got like teary eyed because it was so much fun. Like it was just like such an anticipatory like big event.
That's badass.
When it was she's like jumping up and down happily with like tears in her eyes. Yeah. I was like, that was really impactful.
That's awesome.
And then like after
remember
that
getting
show,
excited about things?
It's so cool. It was like I felt so good about it.
Yeah.
And it's such a good feel good show in general.
You get a little bit of like residual excitement from her. You're like, oh, that's what it feels like. Oh.
And then
sweet,
dude, I mean, there were
dopamine.
People at these shows. There was like 17-year-olds with mohawks and shit, and I was like, dude, I was that kid. And I got home and I put on the shirt that I bought, right? And I had seen the Aquabats 20 years ago.
Okay,
right? It was like my first girlfriend and I went and saw it at fucking St. Andrews Hall in Detroit.
Okay,
and it was a great show then as well. And I was putting on the shirt that I got, looking in the mirror, I realized it's the same shirt that I got at that show.
Stop.
But I had lost it shortly after that show. And I had thought about how much I wanted to have that shirt like forever after that. And like I put it on and like there was this fucking wormhole of experience from that moment to this. And it was like I had never lost the shirt. It had just grown 2 sizes. And I got a little misty about the whole thing. It's been a very like very tumultuous and interesting week for me.
Yeah. My week was, I mean, on a personal level, my week was just a normal week. Like, I don't know where the time went. I worked a whole bunch. I got a little bit of family time. You know, we had, it was a fine week, I guess, you know, other outside factors notwithstanding.
There have been a couple of, let's say, explosive moments in American history that have impacted my mood a little bit. But,
yeah, well.
You know, I'm just going to fucking say it. I was at the Aquabats show with, like, feeling all this stuff, and my phone buzzed, and I looked at it, and it said that we had just bombed Iran.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's just part of, like, the tumultuous feelings surrounding, like, how I've been the past couple of weeks.
It's a crazy week here.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Wild times.
We're going to get back into the podcast where we don't talk about
I'm not saying anything political.
So
it was just, well, listen, hey.
No. Just we don't talk about current events very much, just so we can get an escape
it's fine.
from it.
Hey, it's almost over.
It's as much an escape for us as it is for anyone else. So that's a big part of the reason why we don't get into that shit.
Fucking don't ask how my week then was. This is all fine. It's almost over.
Yeah, we're all gonna be
almost over.
We're all gonna be fine or dead soon. It'll be all right. All right. Enough about our personal weeks and into this week in podcasting for the Delete Everything crew.
This week in podcasting.
So this week we're talking about strange sovereign land claims, also known as unrecognized micronations, right? Basically, people who are usually pissed off about some perceived injustice in their macro nation. Can I call it that?
Yeah, soon to be rebranded as Big Macro Nation, TM.
So they basically say, you know, fuck this, I'm a sovereign nation, I'm not part of blank anymore, and the reasons for people doing this shit are you know, they vary pretty widely. In some cases, it's people fighting to not pay taxes. Sometimes it's rich fucks buying property in other countries and then claiming it's sovereign land because I'm a rich fuck who bought this. Sometimes it's just some weird artsy shit. Sometimes it's just a bunch of teenage friends wanting to do something weird and quirky.
Yeah, I've got an example in here that is actually like political handshaking that leads to like a historic agreement that is still just silly.
It seems like most of the time it's just kind of a goof. You know what I mean? Like it's that a lot of these aren't like real serious, and
I don't know. I feel like the ones that aren't serious are just like a big fuck you. Like we're not going to cover the one on the Keys, right? No. So there was like
not on this one.
There was
this may be like an anthology. We may do more of these in the future.
Well, you know, for a little reference, there was like essentially just a like I don't want to pay taxes, I'm an asshole version of this in the Florida Keys. It was like, I'm a pirate nation. Like, my boat is a micronation. Eat dicks. And then they, like, declared war on, like, the United States for a
the independent nation of Chum Guzzler.
Yeah. And it's just fucking parrot head, Panama hat wearing assholes that are just, like, listening to Jimmy Buffett fucking floating around. You're like, we're independent nations. Well, there's also, you know, the sovereign citizen movement that's been kicking around America for quite some time. Okay, this is pretty easy. The sovereign citizen nation delineates.
Wait, are you jumping into yours already?
No, I just want to say the sovereign citizen movement is like talking about how the delineation of a state can apply to a singular person, which it can. You know, the delineation of state is just, you know, like self-appointed borders controlled by a central government, which you can define as yourself.
Sure.
Right. So yeah, you can be a nation unto yourself. I consider myself a bit of a sovereign myself, like in that respect. But the sovereign citizen movement...
You're an island, sir.
No man is an island.
You are.
I am... I don't have enough joke for that. I thought I had one. I was gonna go like I'm bad, bold,
I'm
wiser.
I'm a turtle.
I am a meat popsicle. But the sovereign citizen guys, they're like, I want to do whatever I want, but also I still want to be a United States citizen. It's like a dual citizenship thing.
Yeah, that's the big thing.
Because a lot of the time, the people who are pissed off, like I'm not paying taxes anymore. I'm my own nation. There was one in Canada some years ago where a guy declared that, and then he tried to like drive out of his property the next day. And there were cops at the end of the driveway that was like, no, asshole, you can't just enter America.
Visa and passport, please.
And he's like, I don't have those. Like, well, I guess you're fucked.
Get back in your fucking house then. That's the funny thing is like all these people like that are, I don't want to say all these people, because like I said, a lot of these are just kind of people doing it as a goof. but like everybody wants the benefits of the. It's just this. It's fucking selfish, dumb shit. It's
Everybody
like,
wants to rule their own nation.
I don't want to do the things that I don't want to do, but I want to still have the benefits of the things that you guys do for me.
Yeah.
But I'm pissed off, so I'm my own country.
I mean,
now.
I understand it, but I also think that if you're going to declare yourself independent of any nation,
Yeah, then you create your own fucking society now.
yeah, well, okay, so
You don't get to have ours.
here's the thing. In many contexts, when you own land in a country, like especially like in America, right?
Uh-huh.
You still have to pay taxes on the land because the land is still technically part of America.
Unfortunately,
right?
yes, I do.
You're not able to just be like, well, then it's mine now. We're gonna take this out of America. It's gonna be my country.
Right.
Like it's just not. It doesn't fucking work that way.
Right. And honestly, like if you're being honest, I'm talking, I guess, to someone who wants to do this. Well, then now you are not entitled to the hospitals, the roads, the schools, the infrastructure. I guess if you want to get a visa to go to Trader Joe's, then cool, but like the things that exist in the society that you're now saying I'm not a part of anymore, guess make your own.
It is very rare that like a country will be like, okay, if you want to be a sovereign thing, we're just going to cut off all services to you, but
No.
you can have that land. Like that almost never happens. Like it'll be like, we're just not going to fucking respond to your emails.
That was like my next point is like a lot of times it's a goof, but like the funny thing is most of the time the country that they're actually a part of doesn't necessarily disavow them or, say, well, you guys better fucking quit it. Typically they're just kind of ignored as long as they don't do anything flagrantly illegal. They're, just like,
right.
Cool. All right. Sure. Yeah. You're on your own country guy. Have fun.
I'll say like in most examples, people have the most success with this with islands. If it's like a small island that's never been colonized,
that's not like
it doesn't usually fly very well.
Yeah.
I'll say that. But like if it's an island that no one lives on, that no one has fucked with, it's a small, like a mile across or something.
I have a very brief example of that here in a second.
Yeah, it's just like if it's not in anyone's way, it's a lot easier to get away with it for a long time. And technically, in a fun way, if you do that on a piece of property that is owned by a country that's got squatters' rights, after a while, you can like apply as owner of the area.
The example that I gave about rich fucks buying land in another country and then saying it's sovereign, I think was an island off the coast of Belize or Nicaragua or was somewhere in Central America. And a bunch of friends bought this fucking island together and then claimed that it was a sovereign nation, even though they bought it from that nation. And it's just like, no, that's not how this works at all, dumbass. So yeah, like even the U.S. that's kind of toward the top of the list of, like, oh hell no, you're in goddamn America countries. There's a micronation outside the town of Dayton, Nevada, called the Democratic Republic of Molossia, founded almost 30 years ago. Obviously, the U.S. doesn't recognize them as a legitimate nation, nor does the rest of the world for that matter. But they're allowed to just do their thing. This guy bought like acres and acres in Nevada and said, this is my fucking shit.
This is my fucking shit, assholes.
Yeah, and as far as they can tell, they're, as far as anyone can tell, they're not breaking any U.S. laws, aside from claiming that they've seceded, but they're not doing any like secessionist bullshit. So the self-proclaimed prime minister of Molossia still pays his taxes, and he just calls it foreign aid to a foreign country. Wow. That's what he calls his taxes.
You know what that reminds me of?
It said my yearly checkout, foreign aid.
You know that song, Lukenbach, Texas?
I do not know that. What?
In Lukenbach, Texas, ain't nobody feeling no pain. It's like Waylon Jennings, Willie Nelson.
I don't think I know that
You
one.
have worked in shitty bars long enough that somebody's fucking played Lukenbach, Texas at some point. But there was a guy in Texas.
Probably. I just kind of turned my brain off. I turned my ears off.
There was a guy in Texas in the 60s and 70s, I guess, that like essentially had a big piece of like desert land and established a U.S. Postal Service office on it, thus delineating it as like an occupied county. And it was in like what do they call that? Unregistered county area. Like we got like Hastings and shit out there.
Yeah.
So it was in this like unregistered, no postal code place where no one lived, but he had a post office erected there. Essentially, it was just like a shack. Essentially, it gave it its own postal code, thus electing himself mayor and owner.
Oh, that's how a ton of old towns spring up, back at like, go back to like the westward expansion.
Lukenbach, Texas, I'm just saying, then became a haven for
I think I do know that
hillbillies and
song.
country assholes.
I'm pretty sure I do know that song, yeah.
They had like a big festival at some point. I was like, we can do whatever we want.
No, you can't. You sure can't, buddy.
Hey, man.
By the way, setting up a federal post office now ensures that you're part of the United States of America. It's kind of like them legitimizing your town. That's exactly like once you got a post office in your town, it was like, oh shit, we're on the map.
Well, there's
baby.
the dichotomy of that kind of thing because it became this like outlaw hangout, but like outlaw country hangout. Right. So like there's
outlaw country.
There was like the delineation.
Johnny Cash?
Johnny Cash go fucking hang out there, yeah.
Probably.
Waylon and Willie and the boys. But so the fucking
sounds like the kids who should have pulled a gator out of the sewer. That's what their names should have been.
Waylon pulled a gator out of the sewer.
Waylon.
But yeah, they'd like go like drinking there some shit, and it became like a popular hangout, and it was like this commune of like we can do whatever we want. I guess shoot bottles off of rocks or something, whatever outlaw country guys do. Cocaine, I assume. Cocaine. That's cocaine.
That's in the mix.
And they have this big festival, but there's still this like, well, I'm an American, damn it.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, even the U.S. isn't like, oh, you better quit that. They're just kind of like, whatever. There's also some weird ones involving places that, like to your point a second ago, that aren't even habitable. There is the island of Redonda in the Caribbean. It technically belongs to Antigua and Barbuda, but it's Barbuda. Is it Barbuda?
Is that a place, Barbuda?
Yeah, Barbuda. Not Barbados. That's different.
Not Barbados, not Bermuda, but Barbuda.
Exactly. You got it.
Barbuda. I like it.
Antigua and Barbuda or Barbuda. I'm not sure how it's pronounced.
Barbiturate. Barbutol.
Say it like you.
Barbasol.
Say it like a Caribbean Islander.
Barbuda. No, that sounds like Dracula.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, I have seasonal occupation.
I am a native of Barbuda. Come into my castle.
What the fuck?
Anyway, so this island technically belongs to Antigua and Barbuda, and it is like, it's a piece of shit island. There's barely accessible by ship. There's no fresh water source. It's not a livable place, right? And yet, there's an ongoing sovereignty claim that started in the fucking 1800s. There's a fantasy writer named M.P. Shiel. I'm not familiar.
Not familiar.
Yeah. Apparently, M.P. Shiel's father in the late 1800s claimed sovereignty on that island. It used to have like a lucrative guano business there.
Oh,
I don't know if it was the dad.
There was a huge industry for guano back in the day. Yeah, because bat shit. If you're not familiar, places where you could mine large amounts of like petrified bat shit would be sold as like fuel. It was like very, very lucrative.
That sounds fucking bad shit.
It's pretty wild. There are a couple instances of like those places being mined that were being mined for bat shit being like colonized and then abandoned once the fucking bat shit ran out.
Like I said, this place isn't livable. They just had this bat shit, there's only one part of the island that's accessible by ship, and then you have to like climb these fucking like sheer cliffs to get like
to the caves where the fucking
onto
bat
the
shit
island
is,
proper. And it's just like, it's for some reason, probably this guy's dad was like, I'm gonna make millions off of bat shit, and then
fucking lucrative business,
and then
at
it
the time.
collapsed, and then whatever.
It's just like in Scotland, they like cut peat bogs to and make
for scotch
bricks. Well, not just for scotch, but for fuel. Like you cut you cut the peat out and then let it dry, and it becomes like a fire log. So it was this, and it would burn super, super hot once it was dried out because it's got all this dirt and all this foliage and stuff.
It feels like it would burn really fast.
It does burn fast, but like fire starter or fire log.
Okay.
If you're gonna run like a steam engine or something, get that fucking fast heat. Guano does the same thing. It's a little more dense.
Weird.
Yeah, I know about these things.
I don't want to know why.
You want to know about whale oil? We can talk about that for a while. That's just crazy.
I'm good. I want to speak of another inhospitable
place. I
want
to know why I know so much about burnable things. Because I am a pyromaniac. I've loved fire my whole life. Set my house on fire one time.
Speaking of inhospitable places, Antarctica has multiple claims.
I like the way you said that.
Antarctica. Multiple sovereignty claims from actual countries. Like there are multiple existing countries that have claimed. So 7 countries to be precise. But basically imagine if you were like take a globe and hold it upside down. And so you're like looking at Antarctica from the top, right? And then slice it up like a pie, right? So it all goes to the center, to the South Pole, and then sort of pies out, goes in a conical shape outward.
Right.
And those pie slices, out of those, we've got claims from, some of these make sense, some of them don't. France doesn't make any fucking sense. You're not even close to Antarctica. Fuck you. Argentina, that makes sense. Australia, that makes sense. The UK, fuck you again. Chile, that makes sense. Norway, eat a dick. And New Zealand, they're nearby.
Norway, it makes sense. They're cold. It's cold there. Cold.
They're closer to the other fucking pole.
Cold on Antarctica.
Norway's like, that thing way like on the other side of the globe. Yeah, we want to slice
Maybe
of that.
they got a boat there first.
They're like the only ones who haven't fully defined the north and southward borders. So they basically are like, this is the cone, and as far north or south as we want to go there on that.
You know what
Which is dumb, and I hate it.
What I would do if I really wanted to make a claim on Antarctica, I would fucking create like a big like glass dome there or something and make a greenhouse and farm there, because that's how you colonize someplace, and then it'd be yours.
I feel like there's international law around.
Yeah, one of those international laws is if you colonize a place, you've got to grow like crops there.
Well, anyway, like I said, France, Argentina, Australia, the UK, Chile, Norway, and New Zealand all have claimed at least a part of Antarctica belongs to them. And like a bunch of these overlap one another. Just so we're clear, by the way, the US, Russia, Peru, and Uruguay have all claimed the right to lay a claim to some of Antarctica's land. They just have never done it.
We're getting there. One of these days. well, I'm telling you, one of those people lands there, sets up a fucking farm.
But like I said, a bunch of these overlap. So like the UK's claim, there's only like a tiny sliver of it that's not contested. The rest of it is also claimed by Argentina, some of it, and some of it's claimed by Chile. And even the Chile and Argentina claims overlap one another. So there's like this big claim that's like the UK, and then Chile's claim is like, let's call it like half of it. And then overlapping that is Argentina's claim, which is like the other half of it, with the exception of like a little sliver off to the side that nobody fucking bothered with.
Well, that is dumb. How does that work?
Exactly. Well, because
you want to share?
None of these claims are recognized by the other countries in the mix or by the international community at large. There are different international organizations and like land claim laws and stuff that differ in terms of whether any of this is valid at all.
Well, that kind of goes to the continuing practice of all nations across the board to just go, I'm not looking at that.
Well, there's like a United Nations thing, and there's like another commission, but a lot of these, like some of these organizations and some of these laws contradict one another. So the whole fucking thing's moot.
Well, one thing that nations reserve the right to do, which I think is dumber than piss, actually, is to not recognize other nations if they don't fucking feel like it. Like, here's a quick example: a list of limited recognition countries. Like, these are countries that are technically part of the United Nations, but some of the other people in the United Nations go, no.
Right.
You've got like Armenia. Armenia has been independent since 1991. It's not recognized by Pakistan.
Huh.
China itself is not recognized by the Holy See.
What?
The Catholic Church doesn't recognize China as a place that is.
What do they say is there?
Nothing. It's just not China. It's like they'd probably call it like the Eurasian continent.
It's just one of the most densely populated parts
They just say that China doesn't have like a right to exist as a country.
I don't think the fucking Holy See has a right to exist as in anything.
The Republic of Cyprus has an ongoing civil dispute with Turkey.
Okay, that makes sense.
Israel.
Yeah, we know. Yeah.
North Korea and South Korea don't recognize each other as places.
That tracks.
Like, there's a fuckload of those. Palestine, the Cook Islands, Kosovo. All kinds of fucking places.
That's ridiculous.
Other countries just say no.
Oh, by the way, fun side note. If you had to guess the number of, we were talking about Antarctica, if you had to guess the number of independent research facilities on Antarctica and the number of scientists in those outposts at any given time, what would you guess?
10 facilities with a staff of 15 researchers each.
Okay. There are actually 92 seasonal and full-time outposts operated by 42 different countries, all under the Atlantic Treaty System, so they all work in conjunction with one another. Anywhere from 1,000 to 4,000 scientists stationed there at any given time.
What are they looking for? They know.
They're keeping the lizards down.
That's where the hole in the center of the earth is.
So fucking dumb.
They say we got 4,000 scientists with flamethrowers and machine guns. I've seen John Carpenter's It. I know what's going on.
I thought you were going to say Alien versus Predator.
They've got aliens versus predators over there.
Well, they actually did the hole down to
the Requiem.
Yeah. I think it was the first one.
In general, they both take place in the same place, right?
Maybe. I don't know.
I don't
have no fucking idea. Years ago, I think I was like giving you a play-by-play years ago when I did
the whole rundown on
I did all the Predators and then all the AVPs.
The Predators I've got. I know the Predators, but the AVPs.
Did you watch the new one?
The new
animated one?
The anime? No, not yet. I hear that's really good.
Killer of Killers, pretty cool.
Yeah, I hear that's cool. I'm a big Predator 2 fan.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Same. Who's not?
Prey is really good.
Prey was really good.
But the Alien versus Predators are always weird.
Terrible.
To me.
Really bad.
Because it kind of retcons a lot of weird stuff that I'm not really into. You can't keep the alien lineage working with that, you know? Especially not with the new like Ridley Scott movies.
So the Alien versus Predator movies, the weird thing is like they take place on Earth and it's like, wait, but the aliens were always on space ships.
Yeah.
They're a big spaceship.
And according to Alien Covenant, even those types of xenomorphs I haven't
seen that one yet, so no spoilers.
Well, you know, they were designed for people specifically.
Oh.
Yeah.
So I just did the concept.
Also, you know,
if the Predators were going from spaceship to space, so like imagine like the second Aliens, right? Aliens
with a dollar sign.
Right. Imagine if midway through that movie, a fucking Predator landed, like docked with the ship.
Crazy.
That would have been. That's how you do a fucking Alien versus Predator movie.
Yeah, Michael Bean.
That shit would have been insane.
That would have been cool.
Coming down to Earth, they're both on Earth. It's dumb. I hate it.
Nuh-uh. The only time that I want to see aliens on Earth is when Will Smith is saying "Welcome to Earth" and punching him in the face.
I hate that too.
It's Independence Day.
I know, and I hate it.
That's a great movie.
Yeah, whatever.
You don't like Independence Day?
You.
Says everyone who's ever seen it.
I'm not a Will Smith guy.
What about Jeff Goldblum?
Jump into your shit. I got I'm going to close this one out. You do your stuff.
Okay. In any case, there are a lot of unrecognized countries. Unrecognized states are oftentimes characterized by like stagnant or crumbling economies, political instability, things like that, illicit trade. But they have a persistence in both intellectually and normatively problematic behavior that will usually get them kind of like get ostracized by the international community.
Typically, the leader of that country is
usually,
yeah.
Like I think Somaliland right now has got kind of a conflict.
Somaliland?
You're not familiar with Somaliland? I think it's new.
Somalia?
No, Somaliland.
It's a different place? Or did they rename Somalia? I only ask because a lot of the African nations have been renamed in my lifetime.
I can't find that shit. But there are a bunch of African nations that like are constantly popping up and then dying out and becoming like these like fractal sections. But those we wouldn't consider micronations. They would just be unrecognized states because they get these like governmental bodies that they would call themselves, you know? It would be like, I am the president, and you are the vice president, and you are the CFO.
Warlords.
Yeah, we're warlords. You get a bunch of fucking warlords, essentially.
Just call them what they are.
And they become unrecognized states. So at the very least, you can say that United Nations is constantly kind of bopping around, being like, no, we're not recognizing these ones. You know, because of that, it opens the door for, you know, Pakistan to be like, no, I don't think Armenia is real.
I think it's
System of a Down. No.
I think it's strange the criteria for a lot of these because, you know, there a lot of the UN criteria for like whether or not to recognize some of these smaller, I guess, what do we want to call them?
Not the micronations, but like the self-imposed states, like the sovereign states.
These sort of runaway states.
Yeah, runaway states is good.
You know, a big reason why a lot of the times the UN's like, no, we're not going to recognize you is because they're run by warlords or, you know, people very iron fisty sort of, you know, put the kids in the mines and you know, let's sell the fruits of their labor. And
there are some bigger examples of that where like the country kind of just can't recognize them in general. Like the United Nations, for instance, the Republic of Lakota, right? It was established December 19th, 2007.
Is this have anything to do with the Lakota Indian tribe?
Yes.
Okay.
They've got around 10,000 people. The Republic of Lakota is a self-declared independent state that claims the traditional territory of the Lakota people, which includes parts of South Dakota, North Dakota, Nebraska, Wyoming,
Mount
Montana.
Rushmore.
So the Republic, yeah, exactly. So the Republic was declared in 1974 by the Lakota Nation, but it's not recognized by the United States government. Why wouldn't they recognize that, I wonder? Maybe because they don't want to give up 6 states of like North America.
If you want a little bit more insight onto that, you should go back and listen to our Mount Rushmore episode where you hear the exact fuckery that the Lakota people dealt with.
Hey, I'm in favor. I say give the Republic of Lakota all they want. I don't care. Like, that's fine. But I don't think that the United States Charter is ever going to
of course
be
not.
like, oh. But I mean, like, there was it was a very complicated happenstance in like Nebraska and surrounding areas that returned some land to native rule recently, but that's still under the purview of the United States discretion. So like it becomes a complicated issue in unrecognizing states.
I'm not super familiar with native reservation law in terms of, so I know that they are still part of the United States, but they also operate as their own nation in that if a crime occurs, let's say in the reservation, then they sort of deal with that on their own. It's not necessarily under the purview of, but they are still, it's weird. I'd kind of love to dive into the legalities behind that because they are allowed to operate as their own nation, but they are not their own nation, really.
I have actually been...
It's in name only, honestly.
Since we started this podcast, I've been dancing around the idea of, like, trying to gain access to, like,
we've talked about it a lot,
and learn more about them. It's a really difficult process.
It is.
Maybe there'll be some more information on that in the future, but that's more of a tease.
When we did our Western Expansion series, we looked at contacting someone from the Seminole tribe.
Yeah,
and there wasn't even an email. It was
you got to send a letter.
You send a letter or show up.
We might get back to you. Yeah.
Crazy.
And this might sound extremely pussified. I don't really want to just fucking go to a native reservation and be like, "Hey, I'll talk to you guys." Not because I'm scared of it.
That wouldn't be the way that I would.
I wouldn't want to do that either.
Yeah, it wouldn't be my number one way to like what just.
Yeah, just like,
show up on their land and act like I own the place.
I'm one of the cool ones.
There's something about showing up on their property and acting like I own the place that I'm not entirely comfortable with.
But another example of like an unrecognized state that kind of segues its way into a micronation, right? Would be like the Principality of Hutt River in Australia.
Okay. I don't know that one.
It was established in April 1970.
Okay.
It's about 75 square kilometers, and it uses the Hutt River dollar. The total population, 30 full-time residents, and 18,000 overseas citizens.
Yeah, that's a really common thing. They get like a following online, and all these people are like, "Oh, I'll apply to be a citizen."
The Principality of Hutt River is a micronation located in Western Australia. It was founded in 1970 by Leonard Castley, who was unhappy with the wheat production quotas imposed by the Western Australian government.
Of course, who wasn't?
Yeah, he was just like, fuck this whole wheat situation. We're gonna do our own thing. The Principality has a population of about 20 people.
We'd like to create our own country.
It has its own military.
No, didn't like that.
What?
Nothing. I'm not repeating it. It's bad.
Why?
You didn't hear what I said?
I don't know. Is there anything to be gained by this conversation?
Probably not.
Okay. Did you get what I said?
Nope. What are you talking about? Hang on. Let me middle it about a little sec.
Okay.
That was a lot of stupid grain jokes.
Oh, God damn it. My grain hurts. Okay. So the guy was fucking unhappy with the wheat quotas. The Principality has its own militia, which consists of a few honorary guardsmen, and its own currency, which is tied to the Australian dollar.
Of course it is.
But they have to have like an exchange. I really liked learning about the Principality of Hutt River, actually, because it's got such a spirit of like eat my ass,
right? But it's a great example of what I said too. Like Australia could very easily be like, so the Hutt River dollar is worth 1 Australian penny, and just sink them, because who's to say otherwise?
Right. So like, okay,
unless they're made of actual precious metals, they're not backed by anything. It's just fucking, it's just paper.
Made out of like grain sacks.
It's just printed on vintage burlap.
So Leonard Castley declared the Principality an independent province in 1970 in response to a dispute with the government of Western Australia over what the Castley family considered draconian wheat production quotas. The Castley farm had around 4,000 hectares, which is like roughly 10,000 acres, of wheat ready to harvest when the quotas were issued, which allowed Castley to sell only like 1,600 U.S. bushels.
Okay.
Or approximately 40 hectares.
Okay.
Which out of his 4,000 hectares is fucking insane.
He could only sell that much?
Yes.
So the quota was like I was thinking it was like a minimum quota. He was pissed off that he was making way more than he could sell to the US.
Yeah, he wasn't allowed to sell it.
I got you.
Yeah, like he had all of this grain and he wasn't allowed to.
Crazy.
Yeah, he had too much.
Well, that's because every single country in the world has completely vanquished starvation. Obviously,
right?
I mean,
so fuck that. Leave your grain to die. So initially the 5 families who owned Hutt River farms banded together to fight the quota, and Castley lodged a protest with the government of Western Australia. But the governor did not assist.
Okay.
2 weeks later, Castley claimed that the government introduced a bill into Parliament to resume his and the other families' lands under compulsory acquisition laws.
Wow.
Yeah,
so like 2 weeks after he complained, they're like, you know what, we'll just take your
we'll just take your shit. Yeah.
What?
Right. So this sovereign nation, right, like is going to spring up under as like a rebellion.
I mean,
like the Free State of Jones during the fucking Civil War. So Castley claimed that international law allowed them to secede and declare independence from the Commonwealth of Australia. Castley said that he nonetheless remained loyal to Queen Elizabeth II.
Aren't we all?
At about this time, Castley claimed that in correspondence with the Governor General's office, Castley was on one occasion inadvertently addressed as the administrator of the Hutt River province. Castley claimed that this constituted a legally binding recognition of the principality. Shortly thereafter, Castley styled himself His Majesty Prince Leonard I of Hutt.
Oh my God.
He did this because he believed it would enable him to take advantage of the British Treason Act of 1495. I fucking love when a nation doing this.
What's the British Treason Act of 1495?
It provides that the de facto king of a nation cannot be guilty of treason in relation to any act against the lawful king, and that anyone who interfered with that monarch's duties could be charged with treason.
Wow, so this one guy said, you're the administrator of this place, right? And he's like, yep, now I'm the king. And by the way, I can't be charged with treason, motherfucker.
Under the act of 1495.
Just huge leaps and bounds on that one.
Yes, but I mean, like that's when you're dealing with legalese shit. That's what it is. It's
not even remotely legally airtight, though.
No, not at all. But it's the same logic that like the government would use when doing stuff like, we can't do this because
it's enough to enough to make an argument.
If you can't do things because of vague acts from like 500 years ago, then you can do things because of vague acts from 500 years ago.
That's true.
So I think I would say personally, he fucking got him. Castley said that he continued to sell his wheat in open defiance of the quota. Castley believed that under Australian law, the federal government had...
That's the funniest shit I've ever heard in my life. Like as if he's fucking trafficking cocaine.
He's like, come get my
I
wheat.
don't care. I'm selling this fucking wheat, bitch. He's just offloading. He's got like blocker cars and semis full of wheat. And just like,
well, also, I mean, like
guys on the corner slinging baggies of wheat.
Grain is a dry good. He can grow and hold as much as he fucking. We probably had a untold fortune in
as
grain.
Long as you keep it in a way that you can't doesn't grow fungus and mold and shit in it, then yeah, you're fine.
He believed that under Australian law, the federal government had 2 years to respond to his declaration of sovereignty.
$100 an ounce. 100 an ounce. I got you.
I'm not paying $100 for an ounce of wheat. Jesus. But he said the government had 2 years to respond to his declaration of sovereignty. He said the failure to respond gave the province de facto autonomy on the 21st of April, 1972, but that the Western Australian government can still dispute the secession. In 1977, despite Castley's claims to sovereignty, he was successfully prosecuted for failing to comply with requirements to furnish the Australian Taxation Office with required documents.
Gee, I wonder how they won that one.
In December of 1977, Castley declared war on Australia,
What?
but notified authorities of the cessation of hostilities several days later.
He had somebody on the inside that was like, look, if you declare war, it's going to take him at least 3 days to get over here. Okay, so big dick move, right? Declare war. Tell him you're at fucking war. Wait 72 hours, and then be like, no,
we're done.
You
with the
know
war
what?
here.
I don't even want to waste my time on y'all. I got wheat to sell.
It may be more than a coincidence that this declaration of war came in just a few months after a court decision where Castley was fined for failing to furnish the tax office with certain documents. The short state of war between the Principality and Australia was a scheme whereby the prince's purpose was to argue that under the Geneva Treaty Convention of August of 1949, a government should show full respect to a nation undefeated from a state of war.
Wow.
He declared war.
He declared war to take it back to go, I've never been beaten in war.
Defeat. He just, ceased hostilities.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, I've never been defeated. You should show me respect. Like, this guy's got he did his research. He's got stuff going on. He's playing the game. It's a stupid game.
Well, yeah, because the other option is what? The fucking Australian government's going to, like, send somebody in there to fucking pop him in the brain?
I mean, not to sound super biased, not biased against, but like I don't not to stereotype Australians, but I think Western Australia in the 70s, I feel like was a lot of like the government offices were maybe like dusty shacks in the middle of fucking.
I think that's still the way.
Like
it is.
dust ass, what's the outback near a Billabong. Somebody's like, oh, blimey, we got another letter from Castley.
Got a coat of red dust on it.
Yeah, drinking Foster's in direct sunlight.
I don't even think they drink Foster's. I think that's just an
Australian
American.
for beer.
That's what they say here, yeah.
They're having fucking lizards on sticks or something. I don't know what you eat in Western Australia. But like it seems to me like a lot
I think it's exclusively shrimp on the Barbie.
I feel like they're not coastal, so it's like dusty outback bullshit.
Yeah.
I just feel like the government office, like
there's really big roly polies.
you get the Western Australia governor's office, I feel like would be like a 1 or 2 story wooden building, and if you look at it with a camera, this sound of like would like play in the background, and like a fucking like a tumbleweed would roll past. Somebody comes
but then
up.
There's like a kangaroo, just so you're not confused about whether it's America or
like a dusty
Australia.
man in one of those hats where half of it's like cocked out. The Australia hat comes out mopping his face with a handkerchief. Oh, blimey, it's hot today. And then, oh, what's this? A letter? Castley and the wheat.
Jesus Christ. Jumping wallabies. Another letter.
So in 1970 and 1984.
Peters, hand me a shrimp off the Barbie.
Did you say penis?
Peters.
Sounded like you said penis.
Penis.
So 1970, 1984,
Jumping wallaby penis.
Castley unsuccessfully defended civil legal actions brought against him by private parties. In the former case, an injunction was granted against him in relation to a land deal. In the latter case, he was ordered to pay debts owed to a publishing company he had contracted to print copies of a book called The Man, which was about himself and his achievements. Castley did not suggest in these cases that he was not subject to the jurisdiction of the courts of Australia. The Principality released over 50 different sets of stamps during this tenure. God.
Why do all these places get stamps? Is it like really easy to just have stamps made?
I mean, you just make a stamp.
Yeah, but what year is this happening?
1978.
Yeah, so like, it's not like right now I could go go online and probably get stamps with anything I want.
Really, it's just a license to print money because there's so many stamp enthusiasts around the world. Like,
where do you get stamps in the 70s?
I think you just fucking make them, dude. It's not that hard. You get a piece of paper, you put a little picture on it, ka-chunk, put some glue, there it is.
You gotta perforate the things.
You gotta think about buy it mail order. You trade it for wheat. The postage stamps have a solid.
I'll give you all my wheat for these stamps.
The postage stamps have a solid global following. In about 2006, Castley was again successfully prosecuted by the Australian Tax Office He sought special leave to appeal to the High Court of Australia.
So we're going all the way from the 70s, he's still going in 2006.
2006. He sought special leave to appeal to the High Court of Australia, but his application was dismissed with the comment that his arguments were, and I quote, fatuous, frivolous, and vexatious.
These arguments are fatuous, frivolous, and vexatious. We're throwing you out of the court.
In 2006, he changed the principality's name to the Principality of Hutt River. In 2017, Castley announced after ruling for 45 years he'd be stepping down to be succeeded by his youngest son, Graham.
The older ones were like, fuck this shit. I'm moving to Sydney, Dad.
They're just dust and wheat. With a number of potential sons and daughters, the successor was nominated.
I've met a lovely Sheila. I'm moving.
Graham?
No, I don't want to be part of this.
With a number of potential sons and daughters, the successor was nominated by Castley and approved by a Crown committee. Mm-hmm. Some commentary at the time had expected his older son, Ian, to be the successor. Oh. So we got a little bit of a schism there. Yeah. Ian was not pleased.
Oh, Ian got bumped?
Yes, exactly.
Ian wasn't moving to Sydney for Sheila?
Now, my favorite son gets to rule the principality.
What's the younger son's name?
Graham.
Graham.
I
don't know how to say it.
Graeme. Graham.
Graham.
No, that's Spanish. You're doing Spanish voice. Graham.
Why are you doing like a French, like Graham?
Graham.
Yeah,
Graham.
Graham. It's my son Ian. And
so
Graham.
In 2017, Castley was ordered by the Supreme Court of Western Australia to pay $2.7 million in unpaid taxes. And his son, Arthur Castley, another just a resident of the area, was ordered to pay $242,000 in unpaid taxes.
Dicks.
In 2019...
That's a lot of grain. That's a lot of wheat.
In 2019, in an attempt to avoid paying these, Castley died. Leaving his son Graham Castley to succeed to the throne as Prince Graham and inherit his $2.5 million debt.
Fucking hell.
In 2019, citing declining revenue from agriculture as well as a drop in tourist numbers, the Principality issued a media release to announce that it would be closing its borders with effect 31st of January 2020.
Okay. What happens when they close the borders?
The Principality would no longer accept visitors, would cease to issue entry and exit visas, and would stand down most government services and offices for the duration of the hiatus. The announcement included the following statement. It is with a heavy heart, and after much thought and consultation with my cabinet, that I have to inform all the government of the Principality of Hutt River is about to go on hiatus. Our borders will be closed to all, including tourists, and all government external services will cease at close of business Friday. January 2020 until further notice. And then in August, the Principality was formally dissolved amidst disputes with the Australian Taxation Office. That's the story of the Hutt River Principality.
I feel like we need some follow-up on this.
No. Because we know what it became after it was dissolved?
But Australia again.
The fucking wheat farm, like it had been the whole time.
Just a fucking wheat farm in Western Australia. Jesus.
The Principality had no legal status as a matter of Australian law. In 2007, the High Court dismissed an application by Casey to appeal against the judge because because it wasn't in place. There was never any paperwork filed.
Oh my God.
There was nothing ever recognized. They're like, no.
Yeah, well, obviously.
The Australian government unequivocally stated on its website that it did not recognize the secession of the Principality. Passports issued by the Principality were not recognized by the Australian government.
No shit, Sherlock. No shit, Sherlock. That's dummy. That's mega dummy. I mean, it's funny, but it's cool and it's dumb.
From 1984 to 2010, Australian diplomatic missions in 28 countries exchanged 120 diplomatic cables with Australia concerning activities relating to the Principality. The Council of European Union issued a memorandum identifying Hutt River passports known as fantasy passports, issued by private organizations and individuals to which a visa should not be affixed.
Yeah, so they're basically saying these are bullshit. These are like It's like if you went to Key West right now and bought like a Conch Republic passport.
Right.
It's just a fucking trinket. It's a bullshit tchotchke.
Hong Kong does not recognize the principality, but its corporate registry did at one point recognize it as a place where a company could be incorporated.
They recognized it as a tax shelter, is what I'm hearing.
Exactly.
They were like, these guys don't pay their taxes.
Hey, they're not paying taxes. We could help them out here.
Make a note. Dog-ear that page, and we'll
in
come back.
2008, a 48-year-old French man who claimed to be an ambassador representing the principality to the United Arab Emirates.
Oh, boy.
With his 36-year-old female compatriot and a 20-year-old Pakistani man, were charged by the United Nations.
Wait, what is this ragtag group? Where? Tell me again.
A 48-year-old Frenchman who claimed to be an ambassador representing the principality to the United Arab Emirates, his 36-year-old female compatriot, and a 28-year-old Pakistani man were charged by the UAE over issuing travel documents and selling land in the principality to the UAE residents under false pretenses.
Oh my God. What year was that?
This was 2008. Castley stated that the man had no diplomatic standing in the principality and had only made a single visit to the province. So they was scamming.
So yeah, some swindler came by and was like, hatched the whole scheme.
This is perfect.
That's
you can
funny.
research it and be like, oh, this is a place.
That's funny as fuck.
Here's a good end cap.
Mhm.
Right? In April 2016,
Okay.
the principality received a letter from Queen Elizabeth II, which communicated the Queen's good wishes on the anniversary of the founding of the principality 46 years before.
Wow.
The letter from Buckingham Palace was signed by Sonia Bonici, senior corresponding officer. It reads in part, I am to convey Her Majesty's good wishes to you and to all concerned for a most enjoyable and successful celebration on the 23rd and 24th of April to mark the 46th anniversary of the Principality of Hutt River.
What?
The Queen was replying to a letter from Castley congratulating her on her 90th birthday.
Oh, boy.
So, I guess, April 2016, would that mean...
What do you...
Hold on. Yeah, Castley was still alive for that. So, towards the end of his reign, Castley got official correspondence from the Queen of England congratulating him on the anniversary of founding his principality. Yeah. Which I think if he had lived a little longer, he'd have been like, look right here. Letter from the Queen herself recognizing me.
What is that accent?
It's
kind of
Australian.
Yeah, sure.
He said, look right here. Letter from the Queen.
You sounded
letter from the Queen.
Yeah, but you did it better that time. The first time you sounded kind of New Yorkish.
Hey, it's a fucking letter from the Queen.
Look right here. Look right here.
Yeah, the Queen of England saying this is my fucking principality here. I'm gonna sell my wheat wherever I want. Maybe the wheat falls off the back of a truck, huh?
Got a letter from the Queen.
There you go. Yeah, I'm positive that if he had stayed alive, that would have been like his big fucking, like, we're putting this on the letterhead.
Oh my God. Dictated, not written. What else you got there, Hoss?
That's all I got for the Principality of Hutt River. There are a couple places that I'd still like kind of want to throw in there as like talking about micronations, right?
Sure.
Freetown, Christiania is a good one.
Freetown, Christiania?
Christiania.
Okay.
Also known as Christianita or simply
Christianita?
Christianita. Also known as Christianita.
Uh-huh.
Or simply Staden.
What?
I mean, it's not in English, so give me a break.
Oh, okay. Where is this?
It's an international community and anarchist commune in the Christianshavn neighborhood of the Danish capital of Copenhagen. It began in 1971 as a squatted military base.
Oh, boy.
Right? So I like this one because it is like, I've always been a little punky.
Uh-huh.
I like the idea of like an anarchist collective taking over a military base and then the government, especially, Denmark, I guess, just being like, yeah, it's fine. All right, that's fine. Its main selling street, Pusher Street, was famous for its open illegal trade of cannabis until 2024.
You don't say. On Pusher Street?
In
there
Copenhagen,
were a lot of drug pushers? Crazy.
When it was shut down in a collaborative effort between police and the majority of the inhabitants, with the street being physically dug up.
God damn.
Christianity.
They're like, not selling drugs here anymore. Bring in the backhoe.
Christiania is considered to be the fourth largest tourist attraction in Copenhagen with 500,000 visitors annually.
Okay, so it's the Free Nation of Christiania.
Freetown Christiania.
Freetown Christiania, NIA.
NIA.
But then it's also Christianita.
Christiania. It's
Oh,
Christiania.
just Christian. Okay, you said
I fucked this whole thing up,
Christianida.
but it's a hard one.
I thought it was like Christ in Canada put together.
Christiania. It's 5 syllables.
Yeah,
for a short little word.
I know, but you said Christianida at one point, and that's why I was
Christianida
like,
is.
Christianida.
I was going to name my next daughter Christianida. Christianida.
I thought it was just like a Christian place in like British Columbia or some shit, like just a fucking church. Christianida. Woo!
I don't know why, but I've got like this image in my head now of like a girl running away from like her prom date, and the guy going like Christianida.
I feel like you could make like a fucking goddamn it, what are they called? Jesus Christ, my brain.
That's what their big thing in Christianity is greet Jesus Christ.
I feel like you could make like a festival, like a like a Christian festival somewhere in Canada yearly and call it Christianity.
That is a good bit. The residents of Christiania.
Bit? I'm trying to make millions, son.
Millions what? Canadian dollars?
For sure.
That's loonies? Loonies and toonies? You ever fuck with Canadian money?
In what way?
They got dollar coins.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're called loonies.
Yeah, I've seen them.
And toonies.
There's toonies?
Toonies.
I didn't know there were toonies.
Yeah, loonies and toonies.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's a fucking clown country.
Yeah, fucking Rick Moranis is from there.
We actually love Canada.
They're the greatest. They're
Don't
funny,
be mad at us,
funny
Canada.
as shit. The residents of Christiania are called Christianit or Christianshavna and Amagaknar.
Such a beautiful language.
Because Christiania is located on the island of Amagar.
Okay.
The 1976 protest song "I Can Ik As Ik Lach Jat" or "You Cannot Kill Us."
Beautiful.
It's not what it said. Hold on, I'll try it again. "I can ik sla os ichil." Called "You Cannot." It says "You Cannot Kill Us." Written by Tom London of flower power rock group Bifrost.
Bifrost
Became the unofficial anthem of Christiania. So this is an anarchist commune in the midst of like fucking Viking ass Denmark. Bifrost writes their theme song. I'll bet it's badass.
This whole thing sounds like a plot to a B movie.
Right. It's fucking silly. But this is still around. Like this isn't one that like it's mildly recognized. It's like a tourist attraction.
Oh god.
It's very popular.
Let me guess. Do they have stamps and passports?
Of course they do. They got all that kind of shit. In fact, there is only one micronation I think in my research I was able to discover as having real national relevance, right?
Okay.
Check this one out. North Dumpling Island. It's a 2-acre
North Dumpling Island.
Dumpling Island.
Like a place I would love to go. It's
a 2-acre island in Fisher's Island Sound of Long Island Sound, which I recently took a ferry across.
That's not as cool as I thought. I was thinking.
So bear with me.
Okay.
So you saw the footage of me like going through Long Island Sound.
Yeah.
Right? They've got a bunch of little islands and a bunch of lighthouses, and it's quite scenic and
I'm
lovely.
sorry. All I can think of right now is a dim sum restaurant called North Dumpling Island, and me just dropping hundreds right now.
So North Dumpling Island is right off the coast of New London, Connecticut, which is the town that because I took the ferry from Long Island over to Connecticut.
Sure.
And that's like where the port is. Pretty big town, New London. Again, scenic, pretty, bunch of fucking islands in the area, right?
Are all those videos on our YouTube?
Yeah, I don't know if they're on the YouTube. The Patreon. I think we got on.
I know they're on Patreon.
Yeah, we could probably put that one on the.
Should
YouTube.
probably put them on.
We'll
YouTube.
put this one on the YouTube. That we'll put my Long Island Sound experience on the Long Island Sounding on. If you guys don't know what sounding is, look it up. Google it.
Some Long Island sounding rods inside of Riley.
So, but I'll post that so you can get a little picture, like idea of what the area looks like. It is quite lovely. A lot of islands.
Okay.
But North Dumpling Island is an island in the Fisher's Island Sound. I actually talk about Fisher's Island on that video. It's it's like a little island, like tourist island that has a small airstrip. You know,
a little island tourist island.
It's got a population of like 200 people or something.
Oh Jesus!
It's quite small. But it's 1 mile off the coast of Connecticut, south of Groton, within the territory of the town of Southold. So Long Island has a lot of rain over the Long Island Sound. Like most of the islands belong to Long Island. So even though this one is very close to Connecticut, it's still technically part of Long Island. It's home to the North Dumpling Light, which dates from 1859. The island is privately owned by a man named Dean Kamen.
The whole island.
The whole island, yes. It's only a 2-acre island
Dean
with
Kamen.
a lighthouse. You ever heard of Dean Kamen?
Is he
Dean was the inventor.
prehistoric reptile?
Yes, the
that
Dean,
walks
the
on
Dean
2 legs?
Kamen. The walks on 2 legs and teaches at a college. Dean Kamen is the inventor of a device you may know as the Segway.
Interesting.
Yes. Dean Kamen I've actually kind of always thought of as an interesting figure in general. I remember when the Segway was first coming out and it was known as like the It. You know, they was like unveiling this week, It. You know, and this guy, Dean Kamen, would come out and like do this promotion because he was a scientist and an inventor, and he was like this kind of a wacky guy. He's also the son.
Do you remember there was a time when that was like when those first came out?
That was
that there were
deal.
people who were like, "This is how we're gonna get around from now on."
Yes,
and
the future of mobility. Yeah,
like silly, like animated, fucking like people, like New York City streets, and just like hundreds of Segways.
Dude, I remember like
it was the most absurd shit ever.
The ad campaign for this as It was like, this is going to revolutionize travel. It's the new thing. People were thinking it was a jetpack or a fucking hoverboard or some shit. Or the push was huge.
Yeah.
It was talked about on 60 Minutes.
Yeah.
60 Minutes had an entire segment on it where they never revealed what it was, just like the ads around it.
That's so stupid.
And then on like the Today Show, I want to say like 1999 or something, fucking they revealed the Segway as the It, and it was just like, and here it is. They pull back the curtain and somebody going,
oh god,
and like
it's so ridiculous.
my like 13-year-old heart was like, oh
yeah, like
God
it uses gyroscopes.
It's
gyroscopes. You
Look,
just leave where
everybody,
you want
look
to
how
go.
cool it is.
Oh
It's
my
like,
god.
God damn it! It's like your grandma building up like a big surprise for your birthday. It turns out you got a nice new pair of leather shoes.
One of the funniest, we reference Arrested Development a lot on this show, and one of the funniest recurring bits is that, you know, the character, Will Arnett's character, Job, it's like, in addition to all the other super dumb fucking asshole things about him, is that he's always getting around on a Segway.
Yeah, that's his like big asshole thing.
It just became a fucking punchline. It went from like this thing that was supposed to. I feel like all of that big push of like, oh my god, it's gonna revolutionize. You know, nobody's gonna walk anymore. You're just gonna Segway everywhere. I feel like all of that was just probably millions of dollars of marketing capital.
I also think that it was like an inflated sense of like, this is going to be great. Like, I really truly think Dean Kamen's an inventor and a pretty good one. And an engineer.
But what I'm saying is, I don't think anybody outside of that company, like everybody outside of that company, saw that and were like,
yeah.
What?
Well, I mean, Kamen himself,
so all that big push about how it's going to revolution that was all just marketing money, just down the fucking toilet. It probably millions.
So Kamen, you know how he made his money?
No.
He made his money off of an artificial heart stint.
That's cool.
Yeah, he created.
That's way more beneficial for society than the Segway.
He created a simple, like actualizing, like non-electric blood valve, essentially.
Yeah, that opens up. That's the one that they use.
Yeah, it's the one they use. And he's ungodly wealthy because of it.
Yeah,
because it saved
that's the
hundreds of thousands of lives.
Literally surgically implant it, and it opens up the vessel on its own.
That's where he got all of his money, and then he's like I'm going to help people kind of guy. So he really thought the Segway, which is, I mean, think about it, like it's transportation. If you're just staying in your area, like fucking super easy.
If you don't have legs.
If I, like where I live from the studio, I could Segway.
Yeah.
It'd take me about.
And look like a big dumb
take me about 20 minutes as opposed to my 6-minute drive.
Ride a bicycle.
Oh, I'm fat now.
You could get here faster on a bicycle.
I could. Bicycles scare me.
Why?
Because too many people died on them.
Fair.
But, no, I used to ride bikes. I used to ride bikes a lot. I'm just using excuses. I'm fat now.
The route from your house to here would not be one where you'd be.
I was like an avid cyclist, actually. I used to ride like fucking 50 miles a day.
Yeah. That doesn't sound fun.
It's the reason my fucking calves are so big. They never shrunk.
You do have some.
Look at that shit right now. It's ridiculous, fucking crazy.
Yeah. Every time I look at Riley's lower legs, I frequently comment on how he should be like underground with a pickaxe, and, like, a long beard and a helmet.
You know how
just,
hard it is to wear like just
fucking
regular
poems.
fitting pants because like, they'll be like if I get straight leg pants, this thing happens where like it bunches at the
this
knee
fucker's
because its
calves are the size
tight.
of my head.
It's too tight around my calf muscles. So like they just bunch up at my knee and I look like a little kid.
Everything else about Riley, you're like, and then you get down to his calves, you're like, God damn, dog.
Jesus Christ. So anyway, okay. In 1986, long before the Segway invention, Dean Kamen, inventor of the Segway and founder of FIRST, which is the heart stint, the FIRST.
Yeah, okay.
He purchased the island for $2,500,000.
Okay.
Which is in 2025 would be like $7 million.
Okay.
After a denial,
not bad for a whole island.
Not bad. It's small, but it's got a lighthouse.
Okay.
Right?
Got a fucking lighthouse on it. That's cool as shit. I feel like a lighthouse. How much do you think it would cost you to go buy a lighthouse right now if it were for sale?
All that is covered on the Patreon video that I discussed. There's a lighthouse that was purchased from like the fucking, not historical society, but like there's a research society that works out of the New York Natural History Museum that sold a piece of land that had a lighthouse on it to a private investor for less than $1 million.
Really?
Like quite a lot, yeah.
You know what that makes me think of?
Which I want to do.
I think we had a brief period where we didn't, not that there was anything wrong in our relationship. We were kind of both busy and doing other things. So we would talk very, very seldomly.
Yeah.
But in 2000, right around the time COVID hit, before all the housing prices went fucking through the roof, I was going to buy an old fire station.
Yeah.
And I got real pissed off because it was right when the housing prices went up and they went from they wanted like $200K for it to like 400 and something K for it.
God damn it.
Like in a matter of a week, it was just like, yeah, now it's 400K. And I was like, what? I'm so mad that I didn't just because that was like right when all the prices went up. So I didn't know that everything was going to go up.
Probably looking at like
up.
$2 million now,
huh? I don't know what the guy who bought it. I don't think he's done much with it.
Motherfuckers.
And it's sitting on a bunch of land, like all that land behind it that's all wooded is all part of the property.
In the shores?
Yeah.
Oh, I know that one. I used to live right there.
Yeah.
That would have been cool.
I know. I went and toured the whole thing. I had a whole, oh my God, dude. If I told you what the build out for this thing, we'll talk about it off mic. The build out for this thing was going to be so motherfucking cool.
So, all right, after a denial from local officials to build his own wind turbine on the island, Kamen seceded from the United States.
Did he really?
Although Kamen's secession is not legally recognized, he still refers to the island as the Kingdom of North Dumpling and has established a constitution, a flag, a currency, the dumpling, a national anthem, which is a parody of the song
We're going to have to go get fucking dim sum after this because God damn it. Stop saying dumpling.
He's got a national anthem, which is a parody of the song America the Beautiful, written by Paul Lazarus. Who the fuck is Paul Lazarus?
That sounds familiar.
I'll look that up real quick. Paul Lazarus is an American director, producer, and writer of film, television, and theater. He graduated from Dartmouth College and apprenticed with the Royal Shakespeare Company in England.
Yeah, that sounds very familiar.
But he hasn't done any fucking movies that are worth a goddamn.
Well, that's the mark of a man.
He directed 7 Girlfriends from the year 2000. You remember that one?
He's no Danny Elfman.
He certainly is not.
Daniel Elfman.
I'm Danny Elfman.
Hello, I'm Daniel Elfman.
I took his masterclass too.
Yeah.
And it was actually fucking great.
He's
funny and weird but like his introduction was him standing in front of like the camera with his hands clasped. Like
like Mr. Burns?
Yeah, very Mr. Burns. He goes, I'm Danny Elfman, and welcome to my class.
Ugh.
And he gives this big creep-ass smile. It's really, really cool.
Weird.
Then he just talked about half notes for the next fucking 2.5 hours.
You've hung out too much with Tim Burton, dude.
Yeah, exactly.
Calm down.
So he also has a navy consisting of a single amphibious vehicle.
Wow, he's got an amphibious vehicle?
Yeah, of course he does.
That's cool.
He's a fucking inventor. His lighthouse is outfitted with a bunch of cool like fucking gears and shit that he put on himself that's just
wild.
Like makes this weird rotating living room. He's got a train on this island that he had imported that he fucking works on.
That's crazy.
Like his train set is a train.
Listen, if you're gonna be a millionaire inventor, be kind of weird and quirky like that. That's the way to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
And who's going to be mad at you?
I like Dean Kamen a lot, actually. He's kind of been in my purview. He's been in like my view for a long time because I'm a big fan of EC comic books.
Okay.
You know, like Tales from the Crypt, the Vault of Horror, all this shit. One of the illustrators of EC comic strips, Jack Kamen, is his father.
Really?
Yeah, so like when he started popping up in the 90s as like this adventure guy, my dad pointed out like, yeah, that's Jack Kamen's kid. And Jack Kamen's one of my favorite comic illustrators. So I was like, yeah, so he's just been like kind of around. But yeah, he's just this wackadoodle fucking adventure guy who lives on an island in a lighthouse. The people of North Dumpling are called Dumplonians. And Kamen is said to refer to himself as Lord Dumpling or Lord Dumpling the Second.
God damn it. If I don't get some fucking dim sum in me soon.
This is the most important thing. And this is what I want to say with this Micronation, okay? Despite still being a part of the United States, Kamen claimed he was able to leverage his personal relationship with then-President George H.W. Bush to sign an unofficial non-aggression pact. So this is...
Wow. So you got official American government documentation.
Yes, exactly. Which
saying we're cool,
is
dude.
the only micronation on Earth that has officially lobbied to get military recognition.
I think
from
I was
going to
say
nation.
that seems like the closest thing to recognition.
That's about
from
it.
Anywhere
That's about it.
Yeah,
because like I'm pretty sure that if the military, if say like fucking the war goes down or whatever, there's some shit happening, and a fucking Navy vessel pulls up on the island, if he comes out with a signed presidential non-aggression pact, I think they fuck off, right? Fingers crossed.
We're talking about
it's the best protection you're gonna get.
We're talking about our current government.
It's the best you're gonna get.
Yeah, that is true. Yes, but again, back to my original point. I feel like as long as you're not being a big dick, then and you're just going, I'm my own nation. Then nobody really fucks with you.
I can close this out with this. Kamen was eventually able to build his turbine, and the island's electrical system was later converted to a combination of wind and solar power with the help of Fritz Morgan, Chief Technology Officer of Philips Color Kinetics, operates independently of the regional electrical grid.
That's super badass.
This was accomplished by replacing all lighting on the island with LEDs, which resulted in a 70% reduction of in-house energy consumption.
Absolutely.
Kamen says that the island is carbon neutral due to solar panels in every building, a 10-kilowatt wind turbine, and a little Stirling engine for backup power. In addition to North Dumpling Lighthouse, the island features a replica of Stonehenge.
But not Foamhenge.
Not Foamhenge.
Wow.
Yeah, I like that one a lot. Can you imagine, dude? Can you imagine being like a mad scientist in your crazy science lighthouse, like having a coffee, looking out over the windswept waters?
Here's what we need to do right now. Quick pause on this before we jump into Sealand. We need to look at some reviews of North Dumpling Island, people who live there, and we need to look at what it costs, what a home costs there. I'm sure insane because it's Long Island.
It's only a 2-acre island.
That's so tiny. So there can't be there's probably no homes for sale.
North Dumpling Island has a population of 1. Dean Kamen.
This dude's like, I don't need a wife. I don't need my fucking kids. Get out of here. So I'm on my island. And you said no man is an island.
Whoa. Let's see. We got one review on Yelp of North Dumpling Island. If Dean came and left this review, I'm going to laugh my ass off.
I mean, if you had your own island, would you not review it? If you had your own island, you'd be like, this fucking island sucks.
If you prick us, do we not bleed? If you have your own island, do you not leave a Yelp review?
Do not review it.
Oh, actually, this is it's 5 stars, but it's like a treatise. Okay. 5 stars by Brian S. from Warwick, Rhode Island. Okay. A real king of a not-so-real empire is the tagline. North Dumpling Island is a small 3-acre island about 1/2 mile north of Nonk, Connecticut.
Okay.
It does have the most powerful lighthouse in Fisher's Island Sound, but other than that is rather undistinguished, except for one important thing. It's ruled by Lord Dumpling and is an independent nation. At least Lord Dumpling claims it is. Lord Dumpling, or simply Dumpy to his friends,
Oh my God.
is really Dean Kamen, the brilliant inventor who developed the Segway two-wheeled scooter. The Segway has some sort of stabilizer device that allows the scooter to keep its balance and is an incredibly cool little transporter.
It's a gyroscope.
Kamen has many other medical and engineering ideas and devices to his credit and is now working on more energy-efficient cars. He's a very creative and brilliant individual. Kamen bought the island back in the 80s and wanted to build a windmill to power his island, but for some unfathomable reason, the state of New York, this is all that I just said. Kamen calls the island the Empire of North Dumpling and refers to himself as Lord Dumpling. He has his own currency and has appointed friends as ministers of important items like brunch and nepotism.
The minister of nepotism.
Probably just him, or maybe his son.
Yeah. I have a nephew. He's good at making copies. Get him in here.
He also bought an old surplus amphibious vehicle and keeps it on the island. I've never seen it actually move, but he considers it his military presence.
Oh my God.
Unfortunately, you can't land on the island unless you are invited, but there is a small island to the south named Flat Hammock, which is uninhabited and an easy place to land a kayak or small boat. You can paddle very close to Lord Dumpling's kingdom and check out his strange temple, amphibious duck, and the great lighthouse built in 1849. The fact that the United States doesn't really acknowledge the Empire of Dumpling doesn't really matter. It's still a very cool place and stands as a testament of the fierce independence, creativity, brilliance, and bizarre sense of humor of Lord Dumpling.
Wow.
That's a pretty good review. Also, totally gave away a staging area to fucking raid North Dumpling Island. It's like, oh, there is a small island named Flat Hammock.
There's Marines landing kayaks on that island right now. There's a bunch of Marines
I'm
just
gonna fuck it.
kayaking.
So when I do the Great Dumpling Heist,
Oh my God. That's funny as shit.
yeah, it's fun.
All right. That brings us to our main guy here. The Principality of Sealand.
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 That C-L-A-N-D.
Just one word, Sealand.
So that C doesn't stand for come.
Cumland. The Principality of Cumland.
Cumland.
No, it's Sealand.
Okay.
No hyphen, nothing, just Sealand. In spite of being probably the quote-unquote most known unrecognized micronation, it's still kind of relatively unknown. So let's start at the beginning, right? England in the 1940s. Some stuff was going on in England in the 1940s. The Brits knew that the likelihood of Germany attacking them was, ever increasing as they pushed their way through Europe. So in an attempt to be able to conduct military resupplies as well as defend the coast from, any incursions by boat or air or ostensibly even from like mine-laying subs, because the Germans had those, they built these like military outposts out in the water. They built a few of these. One in particular was about 12, 13 kilometers off the coast of Suffolk in the North Sea. So if you're looking at England on the map, it's like on the east side of the island, sort of going toward the Netherlands. Like if you're looking at England, it kind of goes, it's like longer north-south. It's to the east of the island, closer to the southern end, like middle south, going out toward like Amsterdam. So like the end of the channel, like you're out of the channel, you're in the North Sea, going toward the Netherlands. Right?
Gotcha.
So yeah, it's going out toward the Netherlands. It's obviously, it's not anywhere near the Netherlands. It's only a few miles off the coast. But so this specific outpost was called Fort Ruffs.
Fort Ruffs.
Ruffs. Spelled like Roughs. Fort Ruffs. And it's basically the construction of this thing is two big ass hollow pipes sunk down into, down to the floor of the sea, of the North Sea. Right. And that allows for the tides in and out, right? For the sea to come up and down.
Yeah.
And a big ass platform across the two. So it's two big hollow tubes and then a giant platform across the top.
Right.
That's basically it. They drop these tubes vertically into the water. They put this fucking thing across the top, and check out our Instagram. We'll have plenty of pictures there, I'm sure. This outpost was outfitted to hold as many as 300 troops.
Ooh.
Yeah. It from when it was built to when it was abandoned, it housed between 150 and 300 troops, as far as I could tell, at all times. There were at least 150 guys out there. Well, maybe not after the war ended, but during the war, 150 to 300 troops out there at all times.
Right.
It had anti-artillery weapons on it, and all in all, pretty fucking badass structure. By the way, technically in international waters at that time, which is kind of why we have this whole story to begin with, right? So this base was done in 1943, and it was occupied by the British military until 1956. So 11 years after the war was over, right? And that's when the last of the military personnel leaves. And when they're sort of disassembling and moving all their shit off the tower and vacating it, they do claim that this is British property and no foreign nation can occupy their cool ass sea tower, right? I'm not sure who they made this claim to in particular. Probably just their own government or maybe the UN. I don't know. The UN was super new. So, I mean, I'm not even sure.
This thing was built to hold 300 people?
Yeah.
The fuck?
It looks small in some of the photos, but
can you go down into the hollow pipes?
I don't think so. But it's got a bunch of, like, if you look really closely at the photos, those are big ass like cargo containers on there. So that's the easiest way to tell the scale.
Okay, I guess I see it.
It's bigger. It looks smaller because you can't really tell the scale because it's in the water.
Right. Okay, I see it.
So, but once you like zoom in and you could see the container ships, then that gives you a little, the big containers rather, that gives you a little bit easier way to look at the scale of it. So yeah, so they say this is our sea base. No foreign government can occupy this. It belongs to us, right? But they abandon it.
Right.
And so this tower base in the middle of the ocean, or not in the North Sea, I guess, 7+ miles out there, right? 12 to 13 kilometers, is just sitting there, relatively forgotten about for 9 years before a man named Jack Moore and his daughter Jane Moore start to occupy it back in 1965. So Jack Moore is part of a pirate radio group called Wonderful Radio London.
Tight.
Which seems kind of crazy now, but like pirate radio in England in the 60s was insanely popular.
Yeah, that was like a huge thing.
Yeah, so essentially, if you're not familiar, in the 60s, the BBC ran all of the stations in England, and they didn't really have the programming that most of like the youth in England at the time wanted to listen to. Think about the time, right? Think about music coming out in the mid 60s, right? You've got
Donovan.
You've got the Beatles, you've got the Stones, you've got the Kinks, you've got the Who, you've got the Animals. These are all bands that formed in the early to mid 60s.
The Who?
Yeah, 64.
That like the band?
Yeah, the Who.
The band.
Yes.
Is that we're talking about the band?
The band. The Who.
You know, like
what are you asking me?
Which band is it?
The Who.
The Who?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm asking you.
Fuck you. So yeah, all these
like Neil Young, like the band.
No. Like Peter, what's his nuts?
Pete Townsend.
Pete Townsend, yeah. So yeah, that's when all these fucking, you're talking about like basically the early days of fucking rock and roll.
Yeah.
You know, of what we know now. You had Elvis Presley, and
like a pretty exciting time to have a pirate radio station.
England was fucking popping off on some fucking rock and roll bands in the 60s.
Yeah, that's their shit.
You know, like I said, the BBC at that time, the BBC had all these stations and they weren't really bothering to play any of that stuff. I don't know what the fuck they were playing. Fucking like Mozart and shit. I have no idea.
I mean, British stuff, I guess, pre-1960s. I have no fucking idea.
I'm sure it all sounded real like,
That's like the fucking Blade Runner theme by Vangelis. No, I'm sure. There had to have been. I would imagine they'd be playing a lot of American music because they're fucking the Rolling Stones and all that had this huge blues influence.
Yeah,
right?
I don't know how much of that stuff I know they were playing some of this stuff, but it was not.
I doubt very much that like all these rock and roll bands from England were just like finding cool underground like American blues records and being like, oh yeah, I'm gonna learn how to play this. It was probably like segments that played that shit on the radio.
I will relate it to my life in that in the early 90s when rap was starting to get really popular, right? And MTV was still music television. It was just fucking music videos all day.
And you had a pirate radio station where you played specifically hip hop from the 80s and 90s.
The only time that you really saw any kind of hip hop stuff, any rap stuff, was during the Yo MTV Raps block.
Right.
The rest of it was top 40 shit. Same with Headbangers Ball. When metal stuff, that was around, they were contemporary. Like metal started getting more popular. rap started getting more popular.
Right.
All around the time the grunge stuff started getting popular. You could get like the Nirvana and the Pearl Jam and stuff like during the regular hours, but I mean, there were specific blocks for even like alt rock stuff, like some of the cool like indie rock shit, like the smaller shit. It was all very like, and it was like late at night, and it was like an hour block, and that was about it. You know, so I'm guessing it was probably something like that. There'd be like, okay, from 10 to 11 we'll play.
Yeah, BBC Three is playing fucking
right
American music from
because
10
it was
to 11.
still new stuff. All these kids with their new rock and roll shit. You know what I mean? So I'm guessing it was a lot of that, and you've got this huge fucking demographic of people who are like, no, we want to listen to more of that, and so you had this giant proliferation in the mid '60s of pirate radio stations. What was it called? The Wonderful Radio London, right? For the 3 years or so that it was active, was one of the top pirate stations. In 1967, England passed a law that basically shut down all of the maritime pirate, like all the ones that were broadcasting from ships.
Right.
Which Wonderful Radio London was one of those.
Yeah.
Those. So they primarily broadcast from a ship that was anchored offshore in the North Sea, off the coast of Essex, so just like a little bit south of where Fort Ruffs was located. And it was running for like just a little less than a year when this guy, Jack Moore, fucking takes his daughter out there and pretty much just starts squatting on this tower. And the whole thing was like, if the station wants to move to this sort of like more permanent location, we're here.
Right.
Like nobody else is going to get on here. We're here. We can like, hey guys, we can broadcast from here. Right. So they've got it claimed. They've got it locked down. Again, like I said, it was called the Marine Broadcasting Offenses. They spelled offenses in a very British way. The Marine Broadcasting Offenses Act of 1967 eventually shuts this station down, and so it never relocates to the tower. So after
Marine Broadcasting Offenses Act
of 1967, yeah.
Jesus, there are enough people like playing fucking. I like what fucking
playing the Beatles from a ship offshore.
Like no more of this rock and or roll.
We have the BBC for a purpose, and it is not this.
This Led Zeppelin music is an affront to the Queen.
Well, that was already Led Zeppelin was after this shit was already shut down, but this shuts the station down. So after 2 years of them like holding it down on this tower, this guy and his daughter, they abandoned it, and
you do,
yeah. So. Enter our intrepid protagonist, as it were, Major Paddy Roy Bates.
Jack Moore and Patty Bates.
Paddy, Paddy Roy. Paddy Roy is a former major in the British Army during World War II.
Is that something like you consider like a master, like a major?
What?
Like a master at arms, a major?
No, he's a major in the Army.
Yeah, so it'd be like a master at arms, right?
No, I think it's
Master Bates.
Oh God. Wow. So Major Paddy takes possession of the tower
Patty Wax
in September of 1967 to broadcast his pirate radio station called Radio Essex, right? So obviously this is a pretty popular idea at the time. We talked about, this fucking popularity of pirate radio. So it's such a popular idea that this is not even Paddy's first tower takeover. So it turns out all this fucking like whimsical fucking rock and roll fucking shit. There's some cutthroat shit going on here.
Pirates.
I mean, they really are paying attention to the pirate part of the pirate radio.
Not all just being on boats. Sometimes you gotta backstab people.
Yeah. Well, so a couple years earlier in 1965, Major Paddy, who has already been getting into pirate radio, decides he's going to take a similar tower base not far from Fort Ruffs. This is called the Knock John Fort.
Knock John?
Knock John. Knock. Knock John Fort.
Yeah.
Right? This is another sea fort. Like I said, not too far from Fort Ruffs. And this base is occupied by the crew of a different pirate radio outfit called Radio City. So now we're already three pirate radio things deep.
So
right?
like one of these ships is just the Rockettes? Radio City Music Hall?
Oh, no. Stop.
It's a Rockettes Christmas.
This is dumbest joke. We don't have a whole lot of history on how this went down. I can safely say that nobody was killed in this skirmish, this little takeover of Knockjohn Fort. I will say that Major Patty, based on everything that I've seen, he likes his guns.
Oh yeah,
he's a former World War II vet. He by the way, the Constitution of Sealand is basically the English Constitution, but you can have guns.
Oh, tight. So America.
Yeah. So like I said, I can safely say nobody killed, which is honestly more than I can say for the history of mid-60s English pirate radio mergers and takeovers. But yeah, somehow Patty ends up booting everyone from Radio City off of Knockjohn Fort. And at this point, he takes the abandoned military radio equipment and he's got a U.S. Air Force radio beacon. And he establishes and starts transmitting Radio Essex, which is his pirate radio station, right? By the way, his station was the first to start running 24-hour-a-day programming.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I guess in the niche of pirate radio in 1960s
That would make
England.
you popular if there was nothing else playing at like 2 a.m. and you're trying to fuck. That would be a good station to have.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like drunk rock and roll kids are up at all hours, no matter what generation we're talking about. So he does this successfully for about a year. He's 44, 45 years old, right, at this point, before he finally gets hit with a 100-pound fine for violating England's Wireless Telegraphy Act of 1949.
Damn, 100 pounds. That must have hurt.
What are these fucking Yakov Smirnoff ass fucking jokes you're hitting me with?
In
Jesus
capitalist
Christ.
England, radio play you.
Oh my god.
Did you ever see the movie Pirate Radio?
I did not. Was that was John Cusack, right?
No,
No.
It's like 2009.
Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a pretty fucking cool flick, actually. It's
John Cusack is High Fidelity.
Yeah, it's a slightly different feel on that.
Yeah, well, whatever.
But yeah, Philip Seymour Hoffman in a pretty cool role. Risey Fons, some other guys. But fucking cool little like just comment on the lifestyle of the people who would be living on these boats and running the radio programs.
Was that supposed to be in England in the 60s?
Yeah, it's this exact
Really?
topic. The pirate radio is about like broadcasters on a boat doing pirate radio signals.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty fucking cool. But fun fact, in England they couldn't call it pirate radio because there's still some controversy around that. That's how I say it in England. Controversy. So they called it the
I
boat.
think they just call it controversy.
Controversy.
That's a weird way
Controversy.
that nobody says it.
They say it like that.
What is that accent?
They say it like that.
You're like a
Controversy.
South African.
Controversy.
You sound South African.
All I can do, I just got to do David Attenborough. There was a bit of a controversy.
No, you would say controversy.
A bit of a controversy. What if I do Michael Caine? There was a bit of a controversy. That's better. Okay.
Oh my god.
It is controversy.
now you're all confused.
But the movie's good.
Now I'm all
It's like
confused.
2009, and it just is about like the lifestyles of the people out there because the DJs on the pirate radio boats would actually become like fucking stars in England. They'd be like big celebrities, you know?
Oh yeah, doing the research for this, there were all these names. It was like this pirate radio was this is where so and so got his start, and this person, and they had all these names, and I'm like, I don't
the closest
know
things
who any of these people
closest
are.
things you get to that in the United States are like like Dr. Demento or the guys from Jet Set Radio Future.
So all right, so
That's not true. America had a lot of fucking underground
very
DJs.
very big
just
DJs.
joking.
Yeah. So like I said,
Like Wolfman Jack. That's a bad joke. I was like, go ahead.
Jesus Christ. So he gets hit with this fine, right?
Ow.
And this is before that Marine Broadcasting Act that we talked about earlier.
I was going to say, sorry, the controversy. The controversy around pirate radio shit is still like lingering with BBC still being a little salty. So in England, the movie Pirate Radio couldn't be called Pirate Radio. They called it The Boat That Rocked.
Oh, dumb.
Yeah, for the British release.
So like I said, this is before that Marine Broadcasting Act because that passed in 1967. This is coming down in 1966, the year before. He gets this fine for 100 pounds sterling, if you must. And
because they're still on the silver standard.
they violated. They said he violated the Wireless Telegraphy Act of 1949. So in lieu of paying this fine, he just says, "Well, I don't have the money for that," and he shuts down the broadcast at the end of 1966 on Christmas Day, to be exact. So, but it isn't very long before he hears about this other base that's just a little further out in the water, technically outside of English jurisdiction. So he starts preparing to take that bitch over and revive Radio Essex. Here's the thing, though. So he takes control. He takes the tower over, right? But then shortly after that, the Marine Broadcasting Offenses Act passes in August of 67. And like 19 days later, in September, early September of 67, fucking Patty Roy Bates just says, you know what? Fuck all this shit. This is just my personal kingdom now.
Oh, yeah.
And it's called the Principality of Sealand.
And everyone can suck
And everybody
my ass,
can eat balls.
I'm the master around here.
I am Prince
Master
Patty Roy.
Master Bates.
You're really stuck on that one, huh?
Yes, his name's Master Bates.
So the following year, another pirate radio operation tried to take the tower from him, right? I mean,
they like fucking invaded and they're like, give us this shit.
Yes. So here's this dude sitting on this tower in international waters, post Marine Broadcasting Act, and he's not even putting fucking music out there. So a group of guys from a pirate radio station called Radio Caroline try to storm the fucking tower and take it. Well, Patty Roy's there with some guys that I guess I don't know if they were staying there or living there or just hanging out fixing stuff, but he's got some guys there. They ended up having to fucking defend the tower. They had some firearms and they made homemade gasoline bombs.
Hell yeah.
And were throwing them down at these guys.
That's fucking dope.
and this Radio Caroline crew had to fucking retreat. So naturally, news of all this crazy shit makes it back to English authorities.
What's fun about this is like, if nobody's getting the picture here, these are fucking English rockers. You know, like they're wearing a lot of like pastels. They got shaggy hair. They all look like fucking Mick Jagger.
I mean, but this guy's a World War II vet in his 40s.
He's doing this, but I bet you it's the
That's
same
true.
fucking
Yeah,
look,
you're probably
but
right.
probably a little bit more on like the mod spectrum, or maybe he's wearing like fatigues, kind of like an early punk rock thing. You know, he could be doing jackboots. Fucking
all the earlier photos that I saw of him, he's like I saw some black and white photos of him, and he's wearing like suits and stuff. He's looking
like kind of a
pretty dapper guy.
Moddy.
Yeah, I wouldn't even go mod. I would just say looks like a
little more Beatles, a little less Stones,
like an Englishman.
Yeah,
like a proper Englishman.
Yeah.
So, like I said, all this news makes it back to the authorities in England, who obviously aren't particularly keen on all this kind of fucking crazy Wild West
Struth, he's got a
vigilante
gasoline
bullshit.
bomb.
Yeah. So, by the way, on a tower that they built, and as far as they're concerned, belongs to them. You know,
right?
And this is the entire reason for the Marine Broadcasting Act, right? It was to shut all of this shit down. So they eventually send some guys from the Royal Navy out there to see what the fuck is going on. As they approach the tower, Patty and his son Michael start bucking off warning shots.
Damn.
As far as Major Patty's concerned, like these are his territorial waters.
Right. Like, this is my place.
Like, this
Fuck
is
off.
my sovereign place. It's mine. What are you doing coming into my waters, right?
What you doing
Mother
in my
liquor?
waters, boy?
Mother liquor. Michael, his son, by the way, is like 16 years old when this is going on.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. Popping off fucking warning shots at the British Royal Navy. Presumably at the fucking, at his crazy World War II veteran father's behest.
Sick.
That sounds like
a fun,
cool way to get shot at 16.
That sounds like an exciting evening. 16-year-olds in the 60s were different, man.
Military motherfuckers in the 60s were different. Clearly,
not really. They're all the same shit.
I don't know.
There's a cookie cutter mold for
put
that
a
kind of shit.
16-year-old bucking off warning shots at the military in 2025. What happens to that kid?
I mean, they get shot.
Mowed down.
Yeah.
Can't even count the bullets.
But back in the day,
riddled.
16-year-olds on this side were going to Vietnam.
In this, yeah. 60s, yeah. We're about there. What do you know? They get arrested.
Classic.
So they're
Typical.
arrested and they're charged on some kind of weapons charges. I'm not entirely sure what they were. Honestly, the accounts...
Having them.
Well, yeah, maybe. The accounts on this shit vary because it's all mainly from one source, which is Michael Bates. And depending on which one of his, handful of interviews he's given or his book that he's written, the stories vary sometimes.
Kind of like a Wilhelm Reich sort of.
Yeah, he's
Wilhelm to Peter Reich.
He's
sort
creating
of story, yeah.
his own legend,
right?
And so in one version of the story, it wasn't the Royal Navy coming out to like check on why they were throwing gasoline bombs at other pirate radio guys.
Right.
It was just some British workers setting buoys in the fucking North Sea that came too close and like
they just started fucking popping
fire off
off
some
at 'em?
fucking shots.
Jesus.
Yeah. So there are a lot of weird varying stories here, but I'm going to go with the one that felt the most accurate. I don't know.
Fucking Patty Bates looks like he was in World War II, right? Like so
He was.
he's like no, not on my land.
He was 20.
He's got bushy ass eyebrows.
Yeah,
like,
he was like 24, 25 when World War II
It
ended.
looks like J.R.R. Tolkien.
A little bit, actually. You're right. So anyway, they go to court in England, and they're there under these weapons charges, and the charges get tossed because England doesn't have jurisdiction where Fort Ruffs is located.
Huh.
It's in international
Oh
waters.
yeah, so I guess they could go fucking eat dicks.
So they arrest him and his son, bring him in on weapons charges, get him in front of a judge, and the judge goes, "We can't enforce our laws in international waters. It's just not the way
it just is what
the
it is,
law
yeah.
works." So all the shit gets dropped. As far as Major Patty is concerned, this is as good as recognition from England that this is his sovereign territory.
Yeah.
Right. And so in 1975, he introduces a constitution, a flag, and a national anthem, and everything is great. And there's never a bit of turmoil in Sealand ever again.
Oh, well, a happy
Psych.
ending. Oh.
10 years later, in 1978, this one's a bit crazy. So Paddy Roy and his wife were in talks with some Austrian investors, right?
Mm.
They're looking to build a small island next to Sealand
Oh, shit, seasteading.
and put, I guess,
That's what it's called, seasteading.
Yeah, but that
building an
did-
island.
yeah, but I mean, the technology exists to do that 7 miles offshore and,
Yeah, you get 4 boats and
1970
you put
something?
them in a square and then you put some shit over top of them.
oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Buoys and shit. I
not
mean,
really
like, yeah,
an
of
island, per
course the
se.
technology's there. Sealand is there, right? The middle of the fucking English Channel.
Yeah, and I thought we were talking about making an actual island.
Yeah.
Like they did in like Dubai.
Yeah. They started the same way. Oh, so are those islands in Dubai, right?
Mhm.
They start by bringing a boat out there with materials on it, and then the people building the island live on that boat, and they build little bases and things, and they bring out more boats, and they put them all together, it makes like a town. Over time, they keep adding more shit to like their pylons and bringing in more dirt and sucking out water and sinking like big metal boxes and pull all the water out and shit. All those boats start getting incorporated into the structure, and then the structure eventually, as they start adding earth and stuff, becomes the foundation of the actual like living apparatus.
Weird.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway. So they want to build this small island
Probably.
near the tower where they could have a casino, I don't know, probably hookers, just a nice leisure getaway for the whole family, right?
Yeah, yeah.
They want to build this little island next to Sealand.
Sea
as
Whore
part
Island,
of
yeah.
Sealand. Yeah.
Whore Island.
Whore Island. So Paddy Roy and his wife end up going to Austria to talk to these guys about this investment, right? And they leave 25-year-old Michael behind to mind the country in their absence. And in the middle of the night, after they've left, I don't know if it was that same night or a few nights later or whatever, a fucking helicopter shows up
Oh shit.
with German and Dutch mercenaries rappelling down onto the platform
God damn.
from helicopters.
His son's 25 at this point?
Michael's 25. So they are led by a guy that Michael recognized, a West German guy named Alexander Achenbach.
Yeah, everyone knows him.
Alexander was Sealand's Minister of Foreign Affairs.
What?
Yeah. He was the one who set the baits up with these investors, then waited until they left for Austria to take the tower and cut them out of the deal.
Oh, this fucking traitorous fuck.
What do? There's no land. It's not a country proper.
What do you do? How many
It's an
mercenaries
occupied.
are there?
Well, we'll get to that in a second.
Seems like a great action sequence is what it seems
Yeah, no
like.
shit. Yeah, but I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not like it's a proper country that you invade. It's not like they even own a title to this fort. You know, they don't even technically own it.
Yeah, they're squatters.
England technically owns it. So the whole thing is, you know, basically possession's 9/10 of the law.
Mm-hmm.
You can't get back on your tower. It's mine now. So I guess I get the casino.
Well, hold on. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm obviously not a lawyer of maritime law, but it's still legal to like murder somebody, right? Like
Illegal?
Yeah. Like,
Yes.
you can't murder people on the high seas and
No,
just like get away
no,
with
no,
it.
no, 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 no.
So
No, we have decided as a society that you shouldn't just murder people unless it's state sponsored and those people have been tried and convicted of a crime.
So in any case, these mercenaries couldn't just fucking like pop Mike and toss him in the ocean. Well, I guess they could.
No, I actually don't think they were armed.
Ooh, well then Michael,
I think they
should have
just zipped
fucking killed
down.
all of
Yeah,
them.
right. Well, so but he recognizes Alexander Achenbach, right?
What a stupid fucking traitorous
So
bitch name.
yeah, right. So they come down. Like I said, I don't think they were armed, and Achenbach tells Michael.
Achenbach, Texas.
No, Achenbach tells Michael that Patty has signed ownership of Sealand over to him.
Well,
Right? I'm the new boss now, and that's that. So Michael doesn't really believe him, and he's like, "Well, okay, hang on, I'll believe."
Hold on a minute,
Yeah,
old chap.
he's like, "I'll believe that when I hear it from him."
I wonder what Michael sounds. Is he like a hip hip hip, kind of like
Look
his
him up,
dad
Michael
looks like,
Bates.
or is he like a hip hip hip, or is he more of like a well, governor, no, mate, no, get off my island.
He looks
there,
like
mate."
that guy, but the son of the previous guy, who's the very posh Brit. Michael Bates is a little more chunky and a little more like looks like he'd be more fun in a pub.
Michael Bates took me to a weird website. No, he fucking. Oh, there's an actor named Michael Bates. Never mind. Sorry.
Michael Bates, Sealand.
Michael Bates, not Seaman.
I am Michael Bates, Seaman.
I mean, he is right. A man without a country lives on the sea.
Technically,
He
No,
does. He does just kind of look like a fucking cool dude.
He doesn't live on the sea. He lives in Essex.
Well, he did at a certain point.
When he was younger,
He
yeah.
was from the sea, born of the sea, man.
So, like I said, like Michael's like, I don't believe you, so like we're gonna wait till he gets back, and then he can tell me himself. And he goes inside to like go get drinks for everybody. He's like, I'll go get everybody drinks. Let's all just relax. They fucking barricade him inside and
The
keep him.
sequestered prince of Sealand.
Yeah, and keep him there for 4 days
Oh.
while they can hold the whole motherfucker down. And then they take him out, they put him on a boat, and they quote unquote exile him to the Netherlands. Put him on a boat to the Netherlands. You're exiled. Which this whole fucking thing is so like, don't get me wrong, it sounds cool as fuck.
You can walk from
it sounds
one
like-
end to the other of Sealand in about 11 seconds.
Yeah, no shit. It's the smallest country.
When he went inside, like you say, he went inside to get them drinks. He went inside the room.
yeah,
The
exactly.
room of
yeah,
Sealand.
100%. So
The
but
rest of it's like an open deck tennis court.
the
Like,
whole thing sounds like a bunch of adults playing make believe.
it's what it is.
We're exiling you to the Netherlands. Get on the boat. On the boat, you. It's a bunch of rich fucking adults. Bring the chopper. Get the mercenaries. We're taking Sealand. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's absolutely ridiculous.
We need to take this for our radio station.
It's not even a radio station anymore. Now, Alexander
No, I'm saying,
Achenbach
like, the
wants a
first one's like
casino.
the
Yeah.
pirate radios. They're
Yeah.
like, he wants a casino now? That's against the entire spirit of Sealand. It's just like, that's just, you know what it is? That's evil developers.
No, they were going to do, fucking Patty was going to do the casino.
Oh,
That's
Patty's
what the
gonna do the
island was
casino?
for.
Oh,
The island was to put a casino. That's why I said a casino and probably hookers.
I thought it was just going to be hookers.
Just hookers.
I only heard the hooker part.
I'm sorry. There's a casino.
Ah, okay.
Blackjack and hookers. That's what we need to make this place really pop. So they put him on this boat to the Netherlands to be exiled. He gets there and he contacts his dad, confirms that the whole thing was a fucking BS lie, and they start putting a plan together to take Sealand back. Right?
Yeah, hell yeah. I mean, what else you going to do? I guess we just give up. No, there's a revenge plot.
Well,
here.
especially if I'm dad and I'm a ex-World War II or a current World War II veteran, and
you attacked my son with mercenaries, sequestered him for 4
and I'm
days,
gonna go.
and then
Wait,
exiled him?
they weren't armed. Okay, we got this. You know what I got? Guns, bitch. So the two of them, along with two other friends, phone another friend with a chopper, and they're like, "Take us out there." So they chop her out. The four of them freaking shimmy down to the platform from the chopper, and they've got guns.
Yeah.
And so it takes no time for them to take back control of the tower. So they take everybody who's not a quote unquote citizen of Sealand. So all these mercenaries and shit, they ship them the fuck off, right? everybody except for Alexander Achenbach.
Oh, Alexander Achenbach is going to get killed with a hammer, I would assume.
They try him for treason. They convict him of treason.
Hang him, hang him.
Paddy Roy is the judge in this trial.
Uh-huh.
And they hold him indefinitely in exchange for 75,000 Deutschmarks.
Dude, that's a power play right there.
This was such a fucking debacle that a German diplomat had to go out to Sealand to negotiate Achenbach's release, which took weeks. But again, to Major Paddy, having a German diplomat come out to Sealand to negotiate a fucking prisoner release only furthered his belief that this legitimized his claim of sovereignty.
Well, it does.
There's a diplomat coming out to my quote-unquote country to arrange a prisoner release for this guy who was tried and convicted in my country.
We'll cut to the real rationale behind all of this. Like, if you're going to form a country, you need, Che Guevara once said, a revolution without guns would never work, right?
Right.
So you need a military presence, and that's how you make your country. Boom, easy.
Right.
But all the literature, all the diplomacy, the thought process, the the word I'm trying to look for here is like just the makeup of the character of making a country is all very set in stone rules. You know, you've got you move forward this way, you file this paperwork, you do this thing, you do this thing.
Right.
Right. And when people are like, well, I can skip all that because I'm special. Like, I'll start here, boom, claimed. Like, then they think that they're going to move forward with like the proper procedures from there.
Yeah.
But they don't have a military presence.
But there's no way to hold it. Yeah.
So the rest of the world goes like, are you fucking stupid? Like, okay, we'll send a guy out to talk to you because we're afraid you'll shoot one of our citizens.
Honestly.
But like, fucking.
But if you want, but by the way, if you want your country to be legitimate, don't shoot the
that
diplomat.
Citizen. Don't shoot the diplomat. I would have executed Achenbach though.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's a good burial at Sealand.
I think, but now they couldn't have done that and kept their claim on that.
Why not?
Yeah, I'll tell you in a second.
Okay.
When was that? 78? No, actually, they were still in international waters. Never mind.
Yeah. He's been tried and convicted of a crime.
But there was still international law that says you can't just fucking murder people.
He attacked them in international waters with mercenaries, right? They reclaimed the area that he had taken from them, tried him civilly, found him guilty, executed him.
Criminally for federally, actually, if you want to be honest, for treason.
Tried him in front of the royal court. Right?
One guy.
Yeah. And then found him guilty and execute him. If they were to execute him, that would not be just a fucking murder. That would be like, listen, there's a chain of events. There's documentation here. We did this as well as we do it out here. And off he goes.
I feel like you almost 100% lose Sealand at that point.
I think they're going to anyway.
They haven't. They still have it.
Well, I mean, then machetes.
They're still there.
Machete to the head. That's what you get. Fucking coconuts into the ocean. Pow.
That's essentially the nitty gritty. The fun action packed.
I assume they don't have a dumpster they can shoot him by.
I said the fun action packed part. Why wouldn't they have a dumpster? They have a dumpster.
Why would they? What's some fucking garbage man gonna do? Pick up?
What do they do with the garbage?
I assume throw it in the ocean.
They better not. I'll go to fucking Sealand right now.
I mean, to be fair, Sealand itself is some garbage in the ocean.
So like I said, that's the fun action-packed part of the founding of Sealand. Since then, there have been a few notable occurrences. In 1987, England extended their territorial waters from 3 miles off the coast to 12 miles off the coast, placing Sealand very much inside of English jurisdiction, right? There was an electrical fire in 2006 that damaged a lot of the structure. One person got injured. They fixed that up pretty quickly.
Inside job.
No, I mean, anything you read about this place, like over the years, it just keeps like when Paddy Roy got there in the 60s, it was already in a state of disrepair.
It's a rusty old hulk. I will say the pictures I've seen of like Michael Bates like just chilling out in the room of Sealand is like, oh, that looks like shit.
Yeah.
That couch is dingy as fuck.
It's a constant struggle to keep this thing from just falling into the ocean. So, yeah, like I said, they fixed that up pretty quickly. They had the tower for sale from 2007 to 2010.
Oh, damn.
They were offering to sell it. Again, I don't know how.
Sell it for how much?
$900 million.
Eat shit.
how do I get title to this land? How do I claim ownership after I hand you my $900 million? What says that I own it? Show me.
Gumption.
Yeah.
I've willed it into being. I guess maybe like when you get a receipt, then that would legitimize it. Be like, excuse me, I purchased this land.
I guess from the guy who took it with guns and fucking...
No, the son of the guy who
gasoline.
took it with guns.
Speaking of the father of the son of the guy with guns, Major Patty Roy Bates died in October of 2012.
Mm-hmm.
He was 91 years old. Good life.
Hell yeah.
Apparently being a fucking maniac gets you some longevity.
I mean, British Army guys traditionally are pretty fucking wacky. Because it's the button-down attitude, you know? It's like, oh, yes, prim and proper, cup of tea. But they're expected to perform these atrocities during war. so it's like the duality of that, I feel like, creates some very, like, almost animalistic characters, you know?
They do hold the Guinness World Record for the smallest area to lay claim to nation status.
Nice. Wait, that can't be true.
It is.
What about the six-part...
You're going to go stand outside on a tree stump and be like,
what about
this stump is my nation?
What about the 6-part BBC series, How to Start Your Own Country? It's a British 6-part documentary comedy series aired between August and September 2005. The show was presented by British comedian Danny Wallace and followed his quest to start his own country in his flat in London. The micronation he created was eventually named Kingdom of Lovely.
Yeah, but I don't... okay.
He investigates in the first episode.
As far as the Guinness Book of
Danny
World...
investigates territory for his new country, starting by visiting Sealand.
Well, that's cool. Apparently, you can only go out there by royal invite.
Oh, yeah?
From Prince Michael.
Michael now.
No, he's still Prince. Even when Patty Roy Bates was alive, he was Prince Roy.
I think that's the same thing with the Principality of Hutt River.
Princes, not
princes,
kings?
because they're still loyal to the actual
king,
sovereign.
Queen, yeah. That makes
sense.
sense.
I think, a failing in trying to create your own nation.
Well, old habits.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can only get out to Sealand by invitation, and Prince Michael only visits like 3 times a year.
Yeah.
He lives in Essex. He lives in England.
Does anyone live on Sealand?
Yes, he keeps security on payroll. There's 2 security teams out there at all times.
Whoa, teams.
Yeah, there's like a very, very small number of people that kind of rotate in and out that are just there for like repair shit.
Dude, I'm married, I have a child, but like I was saying in the last episode about how much I'd like to live through like a winter in Alaska, I would totally be a security guy on Sealand, but I'd want to be the only one.
The only security guard?
Yeah, I don't want to deal with other fucking weirdos that would be security guards.
I mean,
Sealand.
here's the thing is I think it's difficult, if not impossible, to get to that tower via the water.
Yeah.
Without being assisted up. Like, I think that
makes sense. Yeah, pretty defensible in that
right,
respect.
exactly.
That's how you can throw gasoline bombs down on a bunch of hippies.
The only way that you're going to get to the platform is via the air, which, if I'm the only security guy, you know what I say? RPGs.
I mean,
you could just pay me instead of 2 security teams. Use that money to buy me a couple RPGs. I'll make sure nobody gets on this platform
ever. If a helicopter's coming in, dude, give me unless it's an Apache. If it's like a passenger helicopter, give me a handgun. We'll be fine.
Jesus. Okay, fucking Eagle Eye.
No, it's just wait till they land and then shoot them.
I guess then you get a helicopter.
Right?
I don't know. I kind of feel
a cool helicopter.
I kind of feel like watching the thing go boom and land in the ocean is kind of cool too.
That could be fun too.
That would make you feel real cool.
I think I want to watch the show actually. The
BBC thing?
Yeah, the How to Start Your Own Country. It looks pretty silly. This guy, so Danny.
I'm going to insist you watch the Pete Kura documentary first.
Okay, I'll do that. I'll review. We'll do Riley's reviews as bonus content next week.
Riley's reviews. Should we drop the thing that we're going to do after our year anniversary or not yet?
He also meets Erwin Strauss and Dennis Hope, a man who claims to own the moon.
Oh my God.
He invades Eel Pie Island, but leaves after the police are called. This looks like a lot of fun. He records a national anthem. He goes to the Principality of Saborga, which is another micronation.
Saborga.
Only 6 episodes. Fucking. This is
so
dude, this is cool. In the 6th episode. No, here in the 5th episode, this guy he says he struggles to pay his electricity bill, and he begins to kickstart his country's economy. He investigates national debt and opens the Bank of Danny.
The Bank of Danny.
In the 6th episode, this is why I say, no, I don't believe that that thing about the only one that's like tried to claim territory or whatever.
Well, I think as far as the Guinness Book of World Records is concerned, you have to like claim it and then just like do country stuff. Like there's got to be some legitimacy
in the
to it.
6th episode, Wallace attempts to enter the Eurovision Song Contest 2006 in Athens with a song called Stop the Muggin', Start the Huggin'. And in an attempt to officially become a country, he travels to New York to try to win the support of the United Nations. I feel like that is somebody really trying to do something.
Well, I don't know. Maybe when did this all go down?
2007?
No, I don't know. Well, apparently he didn't succeed. Is the
No,
country
he did not.
Lovely,
He didn't have
lovely
enough.
thing?
He didn't have enough territory.
Well, there you go.
Apparently, his apartment wasn't
It wasn't big enough.
because he didn't even own it. He just rented.
That was actually that was a wily move to end up owning his apartment because it's like, this is sovereign territory. I don't know what you're talking about, Bill, landlord Bill.
Throwing down an honorable mention. That's all of our Micronations.
That's
right?
all of That's
Throwing down an honorable mention here that I did want to talk about, but I also feel like I need to do more research on and really fucking dig into.
We can do more of these.
Yeah, this one in particular, though, you know, the whole we shouldn't be doing shit from the native perspective because it's not a perspective, right? Well, this particular case, the occupation of Alcatraz. You ever heard of this?
I don't think so.
Occupation of Alcatraz was a 19-month takeover of Alcatraz Island by Native Americans from November 20th, 1969 to June 11th, 1971.
Wow.
Yeah, the protest led by the group Indians of All Tribes was a powerful symbol of Native American activism and a response to government policies that had historically marginalized and displaced indigenous people. You ever heard of them? But they claimed Alcatraz as a commune and lived there for well over a year, like harvesting from the sea and shit. Like,
there's something deeply metaphorical about them taking a prison.
Isn't there? Yeah, I mean, that's deep and a fucking cool thing, especially that they managed to hold on to it for a year in the Bay of San Francisco.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Huh. Well, like I said, we can do more of these in the future, and that is going to be it for this episode. Thank you for listening. If you like it, the best way to tell us is to leave us a review, leave us a rating, leave us a comment, let us know what you liked. Join us on Instagram at Delete Everything at Delete Everything Podcast. What else? YouTubes.
YouTube?
YouTubes.
Uno, dos, tres, catorce?
Mm-hmm. And then lastly, Patreon, man. We have a lot of fun there. Come join us. Come get in there. Patreon.com/Delete Everything Podcast. Boom. Done.
Do we have that buy me a coffee thing set up yet?
No.
Oh, eventually we'll have a way for you to just give us money if you feel like it.
Eventually we're going to have a lot of things. I should mention it here. Next week we'll do a big announcement on the front end. We are going to do a live show in September for our 1-year anniversary. So in like about 3 months, we will be doing a live show. We're going to have guest Brian Velez, who is on our children's horror episode.
Yeah, he sounds like
episode
this.
13. Yeah. Episode 13. He's going to guest for that. It will not be, we'll still have a main feed episode. We'll still have like our regular weekly episode. Our anniversary falls on a Tuesday, September 9th. We're going to do a live show. We're going to do a little Q&A stuff. We're going to probably be yucking it up and being fucking morons. And Brian is going to attempt to do a rundown of every single episode from our first year in 1 hour.
Because we've noted many times that, well, he's a huge collaborator, a close friend, and really part of the I would say like the spawning pool
Absolutely,
of the genesis that became Delete Everything. He hasn't listened to even one fucking single episode of this shit.
It depends on when you ask him. Sometimes he'll be like, yeah, I listen. And then other times he'll be like, oh, no, I'm going to, though.
There's stuff going on.
So anyway, that's it for us this week. Thank you so much for listening. Bye.
Bye.
This music is an affront to the Queen.